So it's been nothing short of surprising, amazing. If there are other adjectives to describe this January transfer window, I'm sure we could probably spin them around. But honestly speaking, personally, I've been surprised. There's Cancelo moving to Bayern Munich. There is, the deal, Chelsea's deal for Enzo Fernandez. There is the Bosch, Caicedo deal. The surprising one of them all is Jorginho switching camp from Chelsea to Arsenal. But we'll come back and talk about all the transfer, news and transfer stories. But if you're watching us, this is our transfer deadline show. We are streaming live on Facebook. If this is your first time joining us on the show, make sure you subscribe to Sports 101. Like, keep your comments coming. Keep your comments coming. We are live. Sorry, we are live on YouTube, but we are also on Facebook, so you can check us out on Facebook as well. But we are live on YouTube. Subscribe to Sports 101. It's very, very, very important. But we are doing this show with you. It's part from now till I'll not tell you when we end the show, but it's part. We need you to join us. Keep the views coming. Keep the comments coming. Make sure you drop a comment whilst you're watching. We'll get back to Kofi. We'll get back to the various news, but as and when the news breaks, we would obviously be updating our viewers because the producers are behind the scene. There's Josh, the entire team. They are behind the scene. Josh, is linked up with agents and all, making sure that when immediately it breaks, he feeds us the information. So expect the when the news drops, Sports 101, we have you covered. But we'll talk about that. But Kofi, let me run by you some interesting figures and it will kickstart our discussion for the show. Now, from 2012 to 2002, the transfer fee spending in the Premier League has, if not quadrupled, more than quadrupled. Now, these are the figures. In 2012, the transfer fee spending of the Premier League was just 721 million euros. 2013, 922 million euros. Then it skyrocketed in 2014 to a billion, almost 1.3 billion. The figures keep jumping up. 2018, 2.2 billion. 2019, it dropped to 1.9. 2020 moved up to 2 billion. Then 2021 it also moved up to 2.2 billion. Then just last year, 2022, it moved up to uh, 2.8 billion, almost crossing the threshold of 3 billion. But if you compare the if you let's say in a season, because this January transfer is part of the summer spending of last season, we've hit the 3 billion mark for the Premier League. The big question here is, and in terms of spending, the Premier League has outspent other leagues more than 5 times. The closest is the Spanish league that is hovering around 1.1 billion. Has the Premier League all of a sudden monopolized the transfer market in terms of spending? Is it a new Super League?
Well, I think a good evening to yourself
Yeah.
and good evening to all of our listeners and our viewers all across the world. And back to your question, I think that there are a couple of things that it's making sure that some of these indices that you mentioned or some of these figures that you mentioned are the way they are. But back to your question about whether the Premier League is the new Super League, I think for a long time it's almost been the news. It's always been the Super League. I mean, yes, if you go to the other competing leagues or the other rivals, you have predominantly in the German Bundesliga, you have Bayern being the constant there. There's Borussia Dortmund, there's Leverkusen at certain point in time. There's Leipzig. There's Mönchengladbach. There are all of these other teams that come in and out of the top four. And then if you go to Germany, obviously, if you go to Spain, sorry, obviously there's Real Madrid, there's Barcelona, there's Villarreal, there's Atletico Madrid. But you look at the complexities surrounding everything the EPL. truth of the matter is that one of the biggest reasons why we see these figures in the APL is that when
Outrageous
it
figures.
exactly the truth of the matter is that when it comes to the APL, it's down to the spending power that these clubs do have, and the spending power is down to the fact that the TV rights figures or the TV rights monies that are generated are almost shared equally amongst all of the other 18, 19, 20 clubs that partake in the league. You understand? And so the only variables will be the positions of the league and how many matches featured in prime time and all of those other little details. But generally, what is happening is that these other teams in the EPL are able to spend as much as each of them would, unlike any other league. For example, in the Spanish league, for example, Barcelona and Real Madrid have their own pool of TV rights that they draw from. Then the other 18 clubs are supposed to feed on the crumbs. You understand? It doesn't happen that way. And I think that one of the things that is also contributing to this huge surge. I mean, you talk about the fact that we almost crossed the 3 billion threshold. One of the contributing factors has to be the ownership structures of these Premier League. I mean, you look at the Premier League, it's about the richest league in the world. For a long time, it's been touted as the most competitive league in the world. There is the unpredictability about the Premier League. If you look at the ownership, we have a lot of people who are very rich owning various clubs in this particular Premier League. I think that if you did a cross section of teams in the EPL, you would not have the same section as you would probably do for the other league. So I'm not too surprised, because if you have rich, crazy owners like Ted Bolly doing all of the crazy things they are doing on the transfer market, and you have UEFA watching on as toothless bulldogs, I mean, spending all of those crazy amounts of money,
It's
crazy
insane,
approach.
and it's just
I
genuine.
I I am scandalized. I mean, maybe we'll come there.
Yeah,
But if
we'll
you have
get
if
there.
you
We'll
have
get there.
if you have team owners like that who are doing all of the things, listen, and I think that it's even ridiculous to think that the richest team on the land, Newcastle, have not even gone on that spree yet. I am dreading what will potentially happen in the summer, and probably we'll touch on it, because
Yeah,
Newcastle, tell you what, if they are able to make a stake for Champions League places,
the kind of
they
money they
are
would throw
going to
around.
spend crazy money. And I'm pretty sure that in our subsequent episodes, these figures that we are talking about will be little as compared to what is bound to happen. This is just a glimpse of
Yeah,
the future.
and I'll run by you the broadcasting right that you spoke about, that of the Premier League and that of the La Liga and other leagues. But I think that you were spot on in terms of why this phenomenon is so. And like you said, it's undebatable. The Premier League for a while has been the Super League, especially when the phenomenon or the idea behind the Super League was get a bottomless pit of money, have some big teams come together, be able to access that bottomless pit of money, spend on the best of players, compete amongst themselves, just for fans to be excited. Practically that's what's happening in the Premier League now. There's so much money for the teams in the Premier League, even to the extent that this season, in summer, uh, Nottingham Forest had spent over 200 million
Mm-hmm,
pounds.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Not even Atletico Madrid have that money to spend on players. The reason Atletico can decide to let go of their big stars is because they do not have money to spend. And so clearly there's a lot of money in the Premier League. And one thing you made mention, which is for me very, very instrumental, is the ownership structure. If you look at other leagues like the German Bundesliga and especially the Spanish La Liga, traditionally most clubs in the German league and the Spanish league are owned by the fans. So literally, the fans come together. It's like a country. They vote for a president. The president is supposed to bring in resources to run the club. But when it comes to key decision making, the fans have a crucial say. And if they don't like a president, they can easily, vote him out. unlike the ownership structure in the Premier League, where you can't vote out the Glazers. The fans of Manchester United have
You
been
can
wanting
protest
to,
and protest
exactly,
and
they've been
protest
wanting these guys out because
for a long time.
in England they deal with shareholding. They are the majority shareholders, and they are not just majority shareholders. They hold the large,
The
now
A
exactly about eighty
listers.
percent of the shares is theirs. Even if they decide to let go of 20%, they still have like 60% left.
Once they have over 50%,
Exactly.
they are majority
They have
shareholders. Yes.
the majority of the show, like Newcastle, likewise, City, likewise, so Chelsea. So there's enough money to spend by the owners, unlike the other leagues. These fans literally are the ones that are trying to sponsor the club. Like Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich is practically owned by the fans. They
But
try to bring in what is it called, sponsorship. A typical case is Barcelona. Over the years, Barca had never had a
a
shirt
sponsor, yeah.
sponsor for God knows how long, until they found themselves in their financial crisis. They decided, listen, it's time we let in other guys like Spotify and other people to bring in money. So the ownership structure has played a crucial role. In England, there is money to spend. In other leagues, there is no money to spend. And so in the Spanish league, they struggle. Look at Valencia. Valencia used to be a top club in Spain,
Yeah.
but because of their financial issues, they had to sell most of their big stars. Talk of David Silva. Talk of the guy who went to Barcelona. That number nine,
David Villa.
David Villa. They keep selling now. Valencia is just like a middle tier club in Spain. Atletico Madrid likewise. They have to let go. Take away Barcelona and Real Madrid, who always find a way, to get money. The other clubs are suffering because of the ownership structure. And Govi, before you come in, one thing I feel the La Liga is not trying is, the La Liga has its own FFP rules,
Yes.
different from how
The other
the
leagues.
other leagues operate. The other leagues operate, more or less in tandem with the European FF. La Liga's what FFP rules is outrageous. It doesn't allow for a lot of the spending we are seeing in what is it called, in England.
Also, maybe to help you out,
Yeah,
what happens in the La Liga is that every team has a salary cap,
we call
and
it a
so
virtual
exactly
space.
so, based on your books, based on the things that you have done, you are allotted a particular cap space before the season begins. Sorry. So what potentially happens is that because you are allotted a cap space, you cannot spend beyond that threshold.
Kofi,
That's why
pause there.
Barcelona, yes,
Breaking news is coming. Milan Skriniar of Inter Milan. It is certain that at the end of this season, he's leaving Inter Milan to join PSG. But
that's
the deal was supposed to go through this evening, but because of certain technicalities, what it didn't go through. But he
well,
will leave. He will
for me,
leave Inter Milan.
but for me, Inter stands to lose the most because if you're talking about losing a player of Skriniar's quality with no money from Inter Milan
Yeah.
to Inter Milan, I think that's a huge loss because we are talking about potentially one of the best top 10 centre backs in the
Oh
world.
yeah,
For people who haven't watched Skriniar is a solid centre back.
and I'm surprised, Moratti and
I am
the handlers of
amazed.
Inter
I am
Milan would
amazed that
allow
this
a
guy
top tier
is allowed to go close to free
for free,
in
literally,
yes. I
in
mean
June.
in June. I mean
Then L'Equipe is also reporting that Andre Ayew is close to joining Everton. What do you
actually,
make of that
I
deal?
actually read this news in the morning.
Yeah,
David and I were discussing this particular move in the morning.
but
It was a
this
shocker.
evening,
Yes, I mean
L'Equipe is actually
I am not too surprised. I mean
throwing
I
more light on it by saying that, listen, it's
Well, I think that a player of Andrea Ayew's quality has never been undoubted. His quality as a player has never been undoubted. Um, that he got his contract from Al Sadd cancelled recently. Days ago, we are talking about days ago, and that he walked straight back into the EPL, the best league in the world. I think that would be a glorious return for Andrea Ayew. He will silence a lot of the critics if he does go on to play for Everton and the Sean Dykes who want to thread a new approach, who want to thread a new direction. I think that
So
would be some sort of return for Andre
when
Ayew.
he left our side, I thought that it's over for Ayu's career,
Yes, because
especially
I
with
was
his
thinking,
age and
yes,
all of that.
exactly. I
Yeah,
was thinking he
but
would
for
go
him to
to.
make this move to
I
the
was thinking
Premier
he would
League,
go to Iran,
exactly.
Persia, one of these Middle Eastern countries.
but guys, keep streaming, keep streaming. We are live on YouTube, so let me take some few comments on our YouTube channel in the chat box. So Emmanuel Kofi Awoni is saying that nice one. I'm here. If Chelsea misses out on Enzo, haha. Trolling Mu Pro Max pa. So we'll get you the breaking story and I'll get you the backstory to why this deal seemingly is stalling. It's because Benfica are not happy with something Chelsea. Chelsea in basketball, you will probably say they tanked the
Yeah,
player.
yeah.
Chelsea tried to tank the player. That's the reason why Benfica are really not happy with what is it called Chelsea. But that deal is likely to happen as it breaks. We'll get it for you. So Prince Peter ACN is asking any news on Enzo. So the deal is still there's talk that Enzo is going to have his medical in London, but as to the transfer fee, as to the because if this deal happens, there is a likelihood that he will break the British transfer fee of around 100. The deal is likely to cost around 150 million pounds.
Exactly. I mean, it will break the deal set by City for Grealish. That's
Jack
around
Grealish.
100 million
Yeah,
pounds, and it looks like if this happens, it could break that British transfer record.
record. Yeah,
But for me, you look at the Enzo deal. One of the biggest hurdles that Rui Costa of that Portuguese team is
Benfica.
Benfica is standing firm. One of the biggest hurdle that Chelsea needs to cross is that Rui Costa and Benfica want all of the money paid
Yes,
upfront.
because they try to tank, and they did not
And
approach.
what will happen is that if Chelsea pay all of the money upfront, they stand a greater risk of breaching FFP rules
That's
if
why they want to
they already
they
have
want
not.
to let go of Gallagher.
So now what they are trying to do, the news is that what Chelsea is trying to do is that it is trying to look for a factoring company. So it would let that company pay the money on their behalf, and they will pay in trenches
They will
with interest
literally
to
amortize the bill.
exactly
Yeah.
so to that company. So that is the latest on the Enzo Perez
Chelsea
deal.
are trying to be, and they've been very smart in the transfer
Well, I
in their
think
transfer
well,
dealings
I
this
think it's
this
all
year.
down to
Um,
UEFA and their
we'll
toothlessness.
talk about that. Martha is also saying, so this Benfica president, they play stubborn there. We need Enzo cause Mr. Flying penalty is gone. He's talking about, Jorginho. Guys want Sean on Facebook and all platforms. Let's make it happen. PK says, good evening, brothers, watching live from Race Course. Good evening, PK. Anthony also confirms the Skriniar move. Anthony comes back and said, please, why is Arsenal not trying out for Sophia and Amrabat? So actually, Barcelona tried to sign Sophia and Amrabat this evening, but Fiorentina have stood firm. He's not leaving anytime soon. They are hoping that come summer next season they will cash in big on the deal. So keep your comments coming. We are live on YouTube. Just don't worry. Whenever it breaks, we have you covered. So we're looking at the phenomenon in the Premier League as just oppose that to what happens in the other leagues. So we've spoken about this ownership structure. It's the reason why Spanish clubs are struggling, German clubs are struggling, the Italian clubs are struggling. It was very recently that the entire Moratti family, some of them resigned from Inter. It has always been family, 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 and all of that. So even if you don't have the money, the club belongs to us. The Agnelli family over the years had run Juventus, and even when they resigned with this saga and all that, they still have a stake in Juventus. Go to Bayern, Germany, likewise. How do we break this barrier? Because for me, the English clubs are saying that catch us if you can. I do not think that they will stop anytime because practically almost every club in England is owned by an individual, if not all the clubs.
Well, I think that that's how
Joe,
it's
what's his name?
the Glazers.
No, Spurs is owned by Joe something. He's called Joe.
Yes, yes,
That
yes, yes,
man.
yes.
What that was Yes, Joe
Joe
Louis. Oh, he
Louis.
owns Spurs. The other guy
Yeah.
there, he's just a face. That Joe Louis owns
Daniel
Spurs.
Levy is
Daniel
just there.
Levy is just a face. Joe Louis, the Glazers, Todd Bowley, the Etihad guys, the Saudi guy. Almost Leicester City is owned by that name. I won't try. I won't even try to mention it. So they're saying catch us if you can.
Well, for me, I think that there are pros and cons. I honestly,
Let's look at the pros and cons.
well,
Will it
honestly,
affect the English league at a
what
point?
it does is that it brings the best coaches. Obviously, if you're looking for the league that has the best coaches in the world today, it has to be the APL. If you're looking for the
Obviously,
league that has
the best
the best
players.
players in the world,
It's
it
the
has to
APL.
be the APL. So one of the biggest pros is that you get to attract the biggest talents in terms of coaching, in terms of players, in terms of probably the backroom staff. If you're talking about physios, everybody wants that huge payday.
Yeah.
So you get the very best of everyone at the various departments running that needs to make a football club very successful. So you have the coaches, you have the players, you have the backroom staff, you have all of the data analysts, you have the sports guys, all of them jump into the APL. So invariably, it enhances the outlook of the league. You understand? It's easier to market when you have Pep Guardiola in there, when you have Jorginho Club
If
in
you're
there,
selling, if
when
you're,
you have Eric Ten Hag in there, when you have Ateta in there.
if you're selling a product to me and you tell me that, listen, come and put money in here. Every week I'll see Pep and his shenanigans. I'll see Ateta. I'll see Ten Hag. I'll see the best of players. Come on.
So,
I
so
don't
I
need
mean,
much
so,
convincing.
so, so those are the pros. But I think that one of the negatives has to be the stability and
I
sustenance.
think it cannot be sustained.
For me, I love the German model. I love the Bayern Munich example. I love the German model. I think that what the Germans do,
Vote board of directors,
exactly, what the
vote for
Germans
a
do,
president.
what the
At the end of a
Germans do,
tenure,
yes,
he's gone.
what the Germans do is to run football and run it well. I struggle to see any club in this world that is run better than Bayern Munich. Maybe to a large extent, Ajax.
You know,
Those are
Barcelona used to
teams
have that model
exactly
until corrupt
until
men,
until they
stepped
were
in.
taken over by criminals. You
Exactly.
understand? So I look at the Bayern model. What it does, for example, I keep citing the Bayern example. I think what it does is that it protects the sanctity of the entity.
Exactly.
You understand? So you can plan ahead. You always know that because listen, look at what happened to Chelsea post Abramovich.
Okay, pause there. News coming in. Hector Bellerin. This evening there was this push and pull. Sporting Lisbon, but Barcelona, but the deal has finally gone through. Bellerin is joining Sporting on loan, and it's. I'm sure
Looks
at the
like
end
it
of this,
paves way
yes,
for Poro to
Poro
come
to come
to
to
Tottenham Hotspur.
Tottenham Hotspurs, and already that deal has been signed, and the deal is valid till 2028. As in Poro moving from Sporting to Spurs. That's another good player.
It's a very good
Join
right
very very
fullback.
very good
Very good right
right
fullback.
fullback joining Spurs. What do you make of Spurs that move? Conte has been explaining that he doesn't have money to spend,
Well, for me,
and he's his kind of player, a perfect wing back.
yeah. If you've not watched Poro play, you probably need to go back to the tapes of the Champions League and watch. I've said in private quarters that I think that this season in the Champions League will be
Sporting,
won by an underdog.
yeah, could be
I am tipping
Sporting.
I'm tipping one of the teams from Portugal. I am tipping one of the teams from Italy. It could be a Napoli, it could be a Lisbon, it could be a Porto. Because I watch these teams and they are playing fantastic technical football. You see, you can cite all of the big names in Europe, but you look at the big teams in Europe now. We'll come back to why
Yeah,
Poro is a good signing for Tottenham. But you look at all of the big names in the world now, in European football now. Those are powerhouses who are who have almost gone back to the reset. You
yeah.
understand? And so you have teams like Bayern Munich who are always going to be in the shout when it comes to the last four. You have Real Madrid in there. You have in the recent past you've had City in there. You've had all of these other teams in there. But I look at the configuration of Napoli. I look at how well they are playing, how beautiful the players understand the system, and what great job Spalletti has done with this Napoli team.
Napoli is
I
a
look at
sweet. Napoli is a sweet
oh,
team.
oh, Oh,
Napoli is a sweet
I
team.
can speak about Napoli all evening. I look at Benfica, I look at Sporting Lisbon, I look at Porto. Those, yes, I mean, you might want to call them teams in an underprivileged league, but they are playing
Yeah.
very well. And so I am but Poro is a very good player. I think that for a long time I've said that Conte does not have any excuses not to perform. Indeed, I look at the configuration of the Spurs team. I struggle to find so many teams in the APL that have the quality that Spurs does possess. If you are looking at one on one, player for player, regards what Spurs does have. I don't think there are so many teams in the PL who comes close to Tottenham Hotspur. The biggest issue of Tottenham Hotspur has to be coaching, and I think that the back stops at the doorstep of
Okay,
Conte.
so Poro moves to Spurs. That's a deal that runs up until 2028. Guys, wanna know what you think? Is the Premier League the I mean the already established Super League in town? Just suppose that with the other leagues, the German league, the Spanish La Liga, the Italian league. Let's not even talk about the French league because the only team that knows how to spend there is PSG. But looking at the spending power of the Premier League, what do you make of it? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Kofi, and you spoke about how the pros. I think that one of the good thing the Premier League is doing for me is not just about the ownership structure. They are allowing a lot of investment in the league. It's about how they've been able to market their product. You know, this season they signed a deal with a Malaysian, broadcasting firm that allows that firm to literally control the broadcasting space of the Premier League in the Asian zone. A Spanish league is not doing that. The Italian league is not doing that. There is a reason why Manchester United would travel all the way to Thailand for preseason. There's a reason why they will travel all the way to India for preseason because they know that the dominant sport in India
It's cricket.
is cricket. Okay, together
Well,
with
you
the
have the
Premier
likes
League,
of the
eh,
Sachin Tendulkers
exactly.
doing all the
If
things they have
the
done in the
Premier League
past.
knows this, okay, United, what can we do to help you? We want to also establish a dominant sport. We are bringing football to them. Now, the next biggest thing to cricket is football in India. If you go to Pakistan, likewise, football in India, and all they know is the Premier League. The kids growing up, all they know are the teams in the Premier League. So, in the next 5 years, we'll probably still be here talking about the same thing, how well the Premier League has been able to brand itself. So you may say all the things you want to say about, let's say, somebody being a bully, but they're a bully in the right way.
Well, for me, it's about extending boundaries to uncharted grounds, and that's exactly what the PL is doing. If you look at the PL, and obviously when you go to Asia, the most popular team there is Manchester
Manchester
United.
United.
If you have a product like Manchester United on your shelves, and you feel that based on the leverage it does have in the Middle East, in the Asia zone, you can ride on its leverage and expand the base of the EPL. I mean, why not? I mean, I think that it's smart marketing.
Very,
And
very
for
smart.
me, I look at the Middle East. I look at some of the things that were happening in the Middle East for so long a time. When you go to Pakistan, they had heroes like Imran Khan. You understand? When you go to India, they have Sachin Tendulkar play all of the cricket. And recently they even tried to do a cricket league
League.
where you have them exporting some of the best talents from Europe, from the New Zealand, from the
South Africa.
Australia, from
Yeah.
South Africa, from England. Then they'll play a Super League,
Yeah.
sort of. But I think what the PL has done in the Middle East or Asia zone is absolutely beautiful. What they have done is to do a Christopher Columbus, go plant the flag there first before anybody
Before
tries to
anybody
do
tries
anything.
to
Yeah,
do that.
exactly. So these guys are always looking for ways to expand their boundaries. They are always looking for ways to make more revenue. They are always looking for ways to brand the outfit they represent the more. And for me, these are beautiful lessons we can learn down from our end. And I am excited about the prospects that lie ahead for the PL and some of the things in terms of marketing that they are doing at this material time.
So, guys, like we've been asking, is the Premier League the new Super League in town, the pros and cons. Let's get your comment or your views on that. And if you're watching us for the first time and you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to Sports 101. This is our transfer deadline show. We are running till the major news stops, coming in. So, guys, we are with you through to the end right here. I'll go back to your comments, but let's look at some deals that have happened. Torgan Hazard has moved from Borussia Dortmund to PSV Eindhoven. One of the 2-3 years ago, we're talking about some of the brightest young talent in Europe. He will be in there. You think it's a good move for him
Well,
because
I think it's a good
at
move.
Dortmund he wasn't getting much game time.
Very good player. Unfortunately, Jack of all trade, master of none. I struggle to find what his best position is, but I think he's a very good player who deserves to be playing week in, week out. If you've watched this Dortmund team, they're a team that is so full of talented players. They are talented players who are rising through the ranks quickly. You look at them, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and so Torgan Hazard is not really old, but he looks like an elderly statesman in this Dortmund team. And there are players who can play his position and play it better. So obviously, at this point in your career, you would want to be playing more. You would want to do a lot more to have a major stake, especially knowing all of the drama that has happened with the Belgian national team. He would probably want to be one of the mainstays of this new era when it comes to the Belgian national team. So not too surprised that he's decided to move on. I think it's a smart move, and we can only wish him well.
Okay, we can only wish him well. So, those of you who are fans of Bournemouth, you've signed Ukrainian centre back Iya Zabechi on, and is a permanent deal which runs until 2028. So, Bournemouth are getting a solid, centre back in Zabechi. There are also news that are coming through. We'll keep you updated on what is happening with the Enzo Fernandez deal, as well as will Caicedo move from Brighton to for with with the signing of Jorginho. I think that Arsenal have closed the docket on a possible
I think
move
it's
for
done. It's
Caicedo,
done.
and I think that for me, um, Roberto De Zerbi and the handlers of Brighton have been a bit unfair with a little chap. We'll come back to the major, transfer news in terms of we'll talk about the reason behind Cancelo's departure. We'll talk about the reason behind Jorginho's departure and why Arteta has gone in for him ahead of Caicedo. We'll speak to the Enzo Fernandez deal, the major deals. That will be the second half of the show. But keep your comments coming in and share the link as well with your friends. Drop them in your Facebook pages and your WhatsApp link as well. Kofi, how do the other leagues catch on? Because truth be told, like I gave you the Premier League has crossed the 3 billion mark. Even we've not added, this past week, the data for this past week, they've crossed the 3 billion mark. There's no stopping them anytime soon. How do the other leagues catch up? Because just recently, the La Liga is even trying to make it difficult for the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid to sign. One of the reasons why Real Madrid are not signing any player is because they've hit their cap space with the signing of Hendricks from Palmeiras, and so bringing another player would be trouble. Even Barcelona, had it not been for the Spanish court ruling in their favor, they couldn't have registered, Gavi's new contract. And so the La Liga is trying in a way, trying everything possible to make it so difficult for the big teams to outspend the smaller teams. But I feel that they they are rather hurting because listen, a time will come if they go on this trajectory, a time will come. As much as you disagree, I feel a time will come. The likes of Barcelona cannot compete with a team like a Newcastle because of the money pool Newcastle have. How do the other leagues catch up?
Be open minded. That's all.
Where open-minded
The
means?
people in Spain are not open minded.
Is that not a good thing?
No,
Because
it's a
over the
bad
years,
thing.
the likes of Barcelona, Real
It's a bad
Madrid
thing.
have outspent
No, it's a bad
and
thing. It's a bad thing. Barcelona needs Betis to be Barcelona. Barcelona needs Cadiz to be Barcelona. You cannot tell me that you draw from a different pool of money and then throw the
Like at
crumbs to
some
the
point,
other.
Liverpool were always prying on Southampton for their players.
Exactly. I mean, I think that what needs to happen, and I think that what needs to happen is that the two big teams in Spain need to come to the realization that, hello, is the 21st century. You need to open up and make sure that you explore other avenues of making money, but you need to make the other 18 teams stronger. Because if you make the other 18 teams stronger, what hypothetically could happen is that they could also go out with the kind of scouting they have even done with the scanty monies that they do have. What they could do is that they could open their scouting webs, go make sure that they get some of the best talents from South America. And Spain is blessed. It's a good hunting ground for most of these talents coming from South America. So when you give them access to more money, they can open up their webs of scouting, make sure they have some of the very best young players in the
That's
world
true.
coming in from South America. And what could potentially happen is that these players could bloom, and in the next 2 3 years, we could who knew Vinicius Jr. You understand? So if you allow Cadiz or Betis or Getafe to bring these players from, you don't necessarily need to be chasing after the talent in mainstream Europe. What you do is that you create your own pool of talented players, then you become the center of attraction
But
again.
the Spanish league has always been the league that price on, for me, over the years. Take away the German league, and the Spanish league produces some of the best academy players. Until recently, England adopted that model with a lot of money coming in. It had a Chelsea, Manchester. It used to be Manchester. Back then, Manchester United were producing the best young
And
talent. Then
Southampton.
and Southampton. So, but now we are not even getting the best pool of young talent from the Spanish league.
I wanted to ask you what happened to the La Masia. I didn't.
But
I don't know if
let
you
me
went
take
down
some
with the.
comments. There are lots
I
of
don't know if
comments
you
on
went down with the
on our
criminals.
Facebook page. So Isaac oh, I can't mention your surname. Forgive me. Isaac is watching. He says, I'm watching live from Befi Pando. My question is, Boli signing all these players for Potter? Is Boli signing all these players for Potter, or he has plans to get a better coach? So he's asking, is Todd Bowley the one doing the signing, or it's a decision the two parties
Well,
have?
one of the reasons why personally I think that Chelsea are on a suicidal mission. It's a crazy channel they are running, and it's unsustainable because you are getting
Kofi,
all
we'll
of
get
these
to
players.
that.
Yes,
We'll
we'll
get to
get. I
that.
mean,
Let's look at the Sabitzer deal. Marcel Sabitzer has arrived at Carrington to complete his Manchester move from Bayern Munich. What do you make of that deal? As a United fan, you seem
I'm
excited.
excited. I'm excited because knowing very well,
As we speak, documents are actually being prepared, and
knowing very well
the deal
Ericsson
is
is
almost
out
being signed.
until
Yeah.
April, May. Sabitzer, his story is quite intriguing. When Nagelsmann
You
was at
pause there.
Leipzig,
So for the naysayers, they think this player is not so. It's just one of has the name but hasn't performed.
Sabitzer,
These
great
these
player,
these are his numbers. So in the year 2022, 2022, 2021, or 2021,
was actually
2022
captain for
season,
Leipzig.
but he played 25 games. 25 games, so scored one goal, had one assist.
Okay.
20 in the Champions League, 2021, 2022, 5 goals, one yellow card, no assist. 2022, 2023, 6 games, no
For
goals,
Bayern.
no assist for Bayern. In the Bundesliga this season, 15 games, one goal, one assist. Why will United bring in such a player when there are solid young players at United? And even currently, Fred has more goals, more assists than him. So why would you bring a player whose numbers are laughable?
You see, I was smiling
Is it
till
that
you
is it that
decided.
is it that United are just
I
trying to
was,
sign because
I
everybody is
was
signing?
smiling till you decided to walk this line.
Facts are facts.
Can you decide to pull the figures of Iniesta and have it in any intellectual discourse? Would you do that? Would you do that? Would you pull the figures of Iniesta,
It depends
one
on.
of the greatest midfielders of our generation?
I know where you're going.
No. I mean, facts are
But
facts.
truth be told,
Facts are facts.
Iniesta's pedigree
What
and
is
what he,
pedigree?
now
Now
I'm
you are
coming, and
no
what
no
he's
no.
done.
Hold on,
I'm
hold on,
actually
hold on,
speaking
hold on,
in favor
hold
of
on,
you.
hold on, hold on.
What I'm
Now
trying to
you are
say is,
trying to introduce a lot
no,
of
what
grammar.
I'm trying to say is,
Let's deal
if
with the
you if
figures.
you double
Are
in
you
terms of
aware?
numbers,
Are you aware?
you may probably
Are
think
you
Iniesta
aware?
is not a good player.
Are you aware that
Yeah,
John Terry had better figures than Iniesta?
obviously.
So would you go to battle with Iniesta?
But the profile of Sabitzer,
No, no, no.
the
Hold on,
profile
hold
of
on. Now
Sabitzer
you're
is
explaining too
Sabitzer is
much.
not an Iniesta kind of player.
Now I think you're explaining too much. All I'm saying is that figures don't tell the stories all the time.
So what does he bring to Manchester United?
Everything, everything. Just like Iniesta, he brings everything.
Mm.
When you saw Iniesta in your lineup, you're excited. Everything. He
So
was captain of
I'm coming.
Leipzig
Kofi, I'm coming.
before Nagelsmann.
Ibano Kofi Awuni says it is the super money league. He actually adds money to it. To think that Bournemouth can battle AC Milan for a player like Danilo and Aston Villa and all of that, they can walk to Spain to buy Diego Carlos, and that's the truth. A
That's the
team like
truth.
Aston Villa.
That's the truth.
Aston Villa can walk to the La Liga and pry the best talents from the La Liga away from the big guys because the big guys do not have money. PK Justice says Todd Bowley should buy that Rui Costa guy. He's very, very stubborn. Ebenezer Tete gives us love. Good evening, watching you guys live inside in Chaban. James Scott, big up guys, big ups Ebenezer as well. Ebenezer comes in. Kofi Asiedu, still glory, glory, Man United. Man United forever.
Yay!
Anthony says that Sabisa isn't a player who is friendly with stats. The guy is good. So he talked about let's not double in the numbers. Let's look at how good he is. So lots of comments coming in. I'll be reading them as well. But those watching us outside Takrady, Charlie, we really appreciate it. Make sure you send the link, share the link as well. Keep your comments coming in terms of the news that we are breaking here. Sabita signing. Andre Ayew at the caps of signing for Everton,
Everton.
and Kamaldeen Soa as well. Is Suleiman,
Suleiman.
sorry, is making the move to Southampton. That deal will be completed by close of day. I'm hoping that it does not fall through. But lots of deals coming through. But before we get to the second half and talk about the major deals, we're having a discussion on the spending power of the leagues. And before we get that, we're talking about Sevilla. What does it bring to Manchester United?
Everything. Dynamism.
What does he have that Fred does not have?
He's a product of pressing. You understand?
Yeah.
You couple of times on this show, you've spoken about players who are
Press resistant.
press resistant. I like that phrase. He is press resistant.
Oh, from Friday he's not.
Like you can iron him with a box iron.
From Friday he's not. He's not that one.
So that's what he brings, and he's a very good technical player.
That's true.
When you lose somebody like what's the name of that guy Manchester United have last lost, Christian Eriksen.
Eriksen.
When
Yeah.
you lose Eriksen, a
I think
player
it's
of
one of
his
the reasons why they went into
exactly.
sign
I mean,
a
Eriksen is
replacement
out
for him.
until April,
Yeah.
May, thereabouts. He's out until so it looks like United have to deal with that vacuum in the middle, and so you bring in a player who is almost like the profile of Eriksen. So for people who do not know Sabitzer, he's almost
Very
like a
intelligent.
taller, stronger version
Very
of Christian
intelligent.
Eriksen. He brings a lot of eye for passes in the final third. He links up play with the midfield and the attack, and he's one player who is very skillful. He has not had a lot of joy playing for Bayern Munich because Bayern is one of those entities that does not easily accept people walking in from other terrains and expecting to acclimatize and be their heroes. And when you go to Bayern, that midfield has entities you cannot change. Joshua Kimmich, untouchable. Not because not because he's German or he's
That's
a
good.
proud son of the land.
He's good.
He's one of the best midfielders in the
And
world. When
he's actually a
Goretzka,
converted right back
that's the point. That's the
midfielder.
point. I know you probably want to talk about Pep
But
Guardiola.
that's the truth.
You want to talk
These
about
are
Pep
some of the
Guardiola.
things that legacies will leave you.
Well, I mean, it's on record also, just by the way, that he's the one who supervised the heaviest defeat of Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena. That 4-0 mauling by Carlo
Yeah, even
Ancelotti's.
today I'm clouded in my
Yeah, I mean, when they watch
my
this jersey, they were mauled by 4 goals to nil by Carlo Ancelotti's Real Madrid.
That's not it.
Yes, I mean, but that's another subject about for another day. I think that So that's what he brings. I mean, that's what technically he brings to the table. I think that Manchester United are getting a very good player. Um, there's not that option to buy.
Yeah.
So, but I'm pretty sure that depending on how well he plays, there could even be conversation in the summer regarding this particular midfielder. I am excited because so far I've learned to trust the judgment of Eric Ten
Eric Ten
Hag.
Hag.
I think that he's almost gotten all of his
Yeah.
transfers on point. I mean, yes, there are some hitches with my good friend
Anthony.
Anthony and all, but I believe that he's a very good player who come very good. I think the price tag is weighing heavily on him. He constantly wants to impress, but Sabitzer, very good player, and I think the Manchester United have a very good player who can fill that void that has been created by Ericsson.
So before, like I said, the entire team is here. Before Percy joins us, we're looking at how do the other leagues bridge the gap? Because if care is not taken, like I said, they're already planting seeds in Asia. I'm sure the next thing they're trying to do is in the Arabian regions there.
The
How did
Gulf
they
region.
bridge the Gulf regions? How did they bridge that gap?
So okay
Because La
now.
Liga is even making it more difficult for the big teams to make
Well,
money and sign.
I think La Liga is trying to keep the sanity of the clubs. Because listen, they couldn't have watched on and allowed Barcelona to engage in that criminality that it was engaging in.
Yeah.
If the La Liga, what's the name of that guy? Tabas.
Javier Tebas.
Yes, I mean, if he was not that strict with some of the policies, I think that
Barca would have
eventually,
Barca would have run themselves into
exactly, they would have
bankruptcy.
ruined
Yeah,
themselves. And
yeah.
so when you have that supervisor who plays a supervisory role, I mean, maybe he gives you a lot of tough love, but at the end of the day, they make sure that the right thing is done, the proper thing is done. I think that what Barcelona the La Liga ought to do is to open up. First of all, they need to start having a conversation on the TV rights money. Once they
So,
have a
breaking
conversation,
news on the Enzo Fernandez deal. Chelsea and Todd Bowley and whatever those guys they've sent, they are still locked in discussions with Enzo. What is it called? Rui Costa
no,
and
but
Benfica.
I
And as we speak, the deal is
50-50.
it used to be 60-40 for Chelsea, but now it's dropped to 50-50. And it's basically because of the hardball Benfica and Rui Costa are
No,
playing.
but I think that after this transfer window is done, the biggest hero has to be Rui Costa. There have been other hard ballers in the past. Daniel Levy is one of them. There's been the president of Napoli, the president of Lyon.
Yeah.
Those are hard ballers, but I have not seen anybody go beyond what Rui Costa is actually doing. And you know the bad thing for Chelsea, why Chelsea are desperate to get this deal done, is that if they do not get this deal done now,
Come
the
summer.
other big the other big fishes will
Come
come
summer.
for his signature, probably for less.
But
Because Chelsea, in all likelihood, will not play in the Champions League next trip.
I don't think
You
Chelsea will
understand?
make the
They will not
Champions
play in
League
the
this
Champions League. So if you are not going to offer more money, if you are not going to offer more money to this player, I mean, assume what happens when the likes of the cities, the Manchester United, the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas, the Bayern Munich, when they start circling in on this particular player. So for me, that's why Chelsea are so desperate. But 21 gun salute to Rui Costa. I think that he's keeping the sanity of the world intact.
If this deal falls through, Chelsea fans, will you be excited that okay, or will you be okay with the fact that we failed to land, Enzo Fernandez? And if this deal falls through, who do you think can replace Enzo Fernandez? Who is that possible player they could sign? Or who is that player Chelsea can say, okay, well, quickly, let's use the remaining hours, in the transfer window to quickly try and make a deal outside. But let's hear what you think in the comment section. Aside Enzo Fernandez, who should Chelsea go for?
Well, if this deal fails to materialize,
Caicedo?
Chelsea would be like the proverbial. What's the name of the things that the Galamsey people use? This excavators, right?
Yeah.
So Chelsea would have bought in an excavator without an engine. So what they are doing is that they are buying a lot of defenders, they are buying a lot of forward players. There is no
We'll
coordination in
look
the
at
middle.
the second
So
part. We'll look at all the players Arsenal have signed, all the players Chelsea have signed. Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp's stubbornness earlier in the season, admitting that they should have signed. Now he's saying we are not going to sign. Liverpool's failure to sign. Look at all this in the second half of the show when Percy joins us. Um, who should they sign?
Well,
Caicedo?
it'll be too late to go for
No, they
Cancelo
can.
if they pay the money, and if they do not land
70
Enzo.
million?
No,
Caicedo worth
no, no,
70
no,
million?
no. If they do not land Enzo, they might have to get Caicedo for 90.
That's why Arsenal pulled out because
Exactly. I mean,
70
because
million is
Arsenal
outrageous.
submitted a bid of 70 for Caicedo. It was rejected. I hear they increased it to 70, 71, 72. It was still declined.
Arsenal in their one one
Remember
one one.
remember the Suarez thing, 40 million and a pound. You understand? So I think that it'll be too late to sign anybody, technically. I'm pretty sure at this material time, look, these clubs are very smart. They are having parallel conversation with other people in the background. Maybe they might go for an unfancied name in the short term, in something that they can use for a stopgap thing. But I think that they are focused on getting this deal over the line.
So Anthony Kofi says that I think Chelsea can turn their focus on Nicola Barella of Inter Milan. That's
I've
true.
I've read that story.
Yeah.
Would
They could
Inter
go back to that deal
would
and try and
would
ignite that deal.
would is he at the right age? Why would you replace Jorginho with Barella?
Okay, PK says that Saints is about United States. I said, will defend that point. It's true. Savisa is just like that Wengo's guy. Them all be bomb. PK, we love you, man. Them all be bomb, man. Anthony says about Kofi Asidu, why didn't your friend Florentino Perez sign João Cancelo? Guy was offered to Madrid first, but he rejected per the report. And then even Barcelona were in the midst to sign him, but he wanted Bayern Munich. The guy wanted Bayern Munich,
No,
and Bayern
because
Munich
you are not in
actually
the Champions League.
wanted to sign him.
You
Basically,
rejected Barcelona because you are playing in
Bayern
the
Munich wanted to
Europa
sign
League.
because Pavard and the other right back is injured and
No,
all of that.
Lucky, I don't know why you are serving this particular episode, but he rejected Barcelona because you are playing in the Europa League.
Charlie,
He
guys,
says he wants to play in the Champions League.
lots of people watching us on YouTube. Keep your comments coming. If the Enzo deal falls through, if Chelsea are not able to, close the deal before the deadline ends, who do you think Chelsea can quickly, pull some fax messages, sense? Because the money there, it is there. The money is there. It's the players that they want. Okay, so very, very soon, Percy will join us. And before we, Percy will come and close the docket. But you're speaking about what the other league should do. 2 minutes.
Well, have a conversation about the TV rights deal. Give that
I was trying to
flexibility.
pull figures in terms of how the Premier League distributes the.
It's almost equal.
Yeah.
It's almost equal. The only things that separate who gets the most and who doesn't get the most has to be, I think, the league positioning and then how many matches are shown on prime
Okay,
TV,
so
prime time
this
TV.
is it. So this is the payment so far as of this 2022 last year. The Premier League has made in terms of broadcasting payments in pounds. So let me start from 2018. They made let's say 2.5 billion. 2019, 2.5 billion. 2020, 2.6 billion. 2021, 2.5 billion. 2022, 2.7 billion.
That's crazy, man.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
If you're doing 22.7
That is almost
billion
about the entire
over,
budget of the La Liga.
if you're doing two 2.7 billion over 20 teams, invariably you have teams taking 135 million pounds just from TV rights money, and that's a lot of
Listen,
money.
hats off to the handlers of the Premier League for them to be able to see that. Listen, at some point, Barclays was giving us peanuts. When we can actually go out there, market ourselves, and make more money, we don't need your money. They let go of. I used to be Barclays Premier League. They let go of Barclays. Now it's the Premier League. They're generating enough money to the extent that they learned that lesson from the relegation of Portsmouth when Portsmouth went on
Into
that bad
administration.
administration. They realized that no, we can rebrand and make money. Now teams can just from TV right make over 100 million just from
135 million pounds. I mean, that's crazy money. That's crazy money.
La Liga, stop playing your leagues around, you know, big games that you're going to put at 10 p.m. You know, La Liga games used to be played around 10 p.m.
No,
Who
it
will be
is
up
no,
to watch those
it is
games?
because they need to be strategic.
It's that's
You can
also
obviously
affect
not compete for the same time band with the EPL. That's the point. I mean, so I think that La Liga needs to have a whole discourse
not
about.
just the La Liga, the Bundesliga. For me, I think when Percy comes, we look at that. How has that affected the the big clubs in terms of playing Euro? Because if you check, truth be told, take away Real Madrid, the Champions League in the last 5 years have been dominated by English Premier League
Yeah.
teams. And in a way, it's taking a toll on the big teams because gradually the English guys are so rich, they've become so strong. And back in the days when Real Madrid, Barcelona would bully teams left, right, center, now the English teams are saying we have enough money and we can also bully you. So quickly, Percy, guys, so Percy is here, is an entire team. Kofi will come back and we'll continue the conversation very soon. But Percy is here, so keep your comments coming. Let me take some comments from our I keep saying Facebook, our YouTube channel. And lots of guys watching us. And let me get this comment. So, what do you think? What some are saying that Chelsea, if they fail to sign, Enzo, the tendency that they might not get anybody is high, and that they should make do or cut their losses and just cancel that Enzo deal because it's lots of money and all of that. But we'll keep you posted on what's happening with the Enzo deal. As and when the deal breaks, we'll let you know whether Chelsea will be able to complete that deal. £150 million. That would break the British record. But Percy, welcome.
Thank you.
You good?
I'm good.
We've been talking money, money, money. I hope you have a lot of money on you. So you had a discussion backstage.
Yes, I was
And
listening.
we were looking at the spending pre of the Premier League as opposed to the other leagues. They can't even come close.
No.
The budget of the Premier League is like 5 times that of the other leagues and all of that. And before I throw this question to Percy, guys, do you think it has affected the performance of the other leagues in the Champions League? Do you think that it is this has contributed to us seeing the dominance of the Premier League clubs in the Champions League in the last 5 years? Because as we speak, in the last 5 years, Real Madrid are the only club outside, let's say Real Madrid, Bayern Munich are the only club outside to literally try and come between the English clubs not winning the Champions League. Because Real Madrid stood in the way of City, they stood in the way of Liverpool, they stood in the way of Chelsea. If not for them, City would have won the league, Champions League, or Chelsea would have been winning it. Liverpool would have probably won it 3 times. So, has it affected the performance of the other leagues in Europe? What do you think?
Okay. I think this is deja vu for the top 5 leagues in Europe. This is not the first time it has happened, and I think it is the time for the English to also enjoy, because it used to happen. It used to be the Italians. Yes, we won't even go so far. Let's just take the 90s. When you had AC Milan winning the Champions League left, right, center with the 3 Dutch golden boys and all of that.
Marco van Basten and
Yes,
all those guys.
yes. You had, who was their owner?
The, the Italians were bossing football globally.
Yes,
They were signing the best of players
so
from
their
Ajax.
owner was the prime minister of Italy.
Adriano Galliani.
Very good. Adriano Galliani was actually what do you call it? The sporting director.
Yeah.
Berlusconi was the owner.
Berlusconi was the owner.
Adriano Galliani was
The sporting director.
So he could bring the 3 best
players
in the world
world.
who have won Ballon d'Or in one team.
George Weah.
He can go and take Marcel Desailly, who
Marcel
had just
Desailly.
won. He can go and bring Jean-Pierre Papin, bring him into the team. All of these players in one team. There was Ancelotti. All of these players in one team. Not just them. There was Inter Milan.
Yeah.
They were also rich. You had Pirelli sponsoring them.
Inter
You had
Milan,
Parma, who was sponsored by Parmalat.
Parma had
Parmalat.
and they had lots of
money until
when they
collapsed.
when they lost their money, then the team collapsed.
The team collapsed.
Inter at some point was able to bring Ronaldo from Barcelona.
They could sign Ronaldo, who had played Barcelona for one season. Juventus.
Yeah.
So you could have 1999, 1998 Cup Winners' Cup final, where two Italian teams, Lazio, Inter, 1999, two Italian teams. There was Parma.
So basically, pause the halftime scores between Newcastle and Southampton. Newcastle are leading 2-1. The goals were scored by Longstaff with a brace, and Newcastle are in firm position to make Wembley
So
the final.
So, like I was saying, you had these Italian teams, but English Premiership was nothing.
No. Nobody was talking
Because
about.
see, if you
Remember
can get
football made in
yeah,
Germany.
if you can get what you call Inter to get Nazario de Lima out of contract from just a hotel
Yeah.
and fly him over to Milan to sign, it should tell you that what the English teams are doing right now is not even close to what they did. They were hijacking deals that people could only imagine. And there were times that if you're talking about people who have won Ballon d'Or, you can get about 5, 6 in one team in Italy.
So Piquet comes back to say that Piquet there, Piquet says that Todd Bowley guy will play that position, so he better make that deal happen. Hey, or else he go hear from me. Honestly, the Chelsea fans are just waiting because you cannot lose. Jorginho, Kante is out.
And
The only dependable defensive midfielder in there will be Mateo Kovacic.
We'll
And
talk about that.
Yes, we'll get into the deals.
So, like I was saying, so the Italians were actually bossing everyone around.
Yeah.
The English team or the English Premiership was played around 24 teams. Then they were like, no, Charlie, the way this thing is going. Then about 10 teams came together, including the top 6 we know, plus Everton, West Ham, and the rest. Charlie, let's rebrand the whole thing. So they stopped this whole Division 1 league.
Yeah.
They were calling it Division 1. Then they started. Then they decided to set up a plan. Proper plan.
A GPS
and they
should
started with bringing in players, just like MLS was doing.
Yeah.
Bringing in players who were not in English, because it was solely English players who were playing them. So they started with Jürgen
Even
Klinsmann.
at some point, somebody like Paul Gascoigne was
They
playing
brought
in Italy.
they brought Klinsmann in to Tottenham. It got to a time they brought David Ginola. They brought him in
That French stubborn
little
guy.
by little until they got the cloud. So it was a proper plan they put in. But the Italians, unfortunately, most of their money, in quotes, were corrupt money.
Italians have always
Majority were corrupt.
Mafia
The
money.
Juventus was owned, like you said, most of them were owned by family. You see, AC Milan.
Yeah.
Berlusconi was a corrupt prime minister. In fact, he was so probed that he was even taken out of office.
Yeah.
There were jail issues. So you could think of where the whole money came from. Juventus has been owned by Agnelli family, who are the same owners of Fiat.
Yeah.
They get the money from Fiat, they push it
put that
into
money in.
Juventus, they take it back,
And
and
actually,
they balance their books with
One
it.
of the reasons why Juventus have been that 15 points was because in the last 2 years, an investigation was carried out in their transfer deals where they had done a lot of under declaration, and the major two deals were the Arthur deal and the deal with Pjanic. That was the reason why. So Juventus have always been,
and
they've
even
had issues
during
with corruption
COVID
and all
time,
of
they
that.
intentionally said that they were not paying their players. No, they were paying Cristiano Ronaldo so that they won't pay taxes.
Yeah.
That is fun. So that should tell you that the Italians got their money, and most of them were corrupt deals or companies that were sponsoring them that shut down. Example was Parmalat. But the English teams or the English Premiership was a plan that was put in place.
Yeah.
So this is something that they are reaping. So for the Italian, you realize Adriano Galeni, before he went off, he said that the Super League that they are talking about is already in play.
That's true.
And he was saying that what he was saying was laudable, but I didn't want to really side with him because what the English teams are doing is something that the Italians have been doing over years. They were poaching players who are yet to go to another team. They were poaching them from hotels because of dirty money. And they themselves have been so corrupt that their own FIDC has been sanctioning them. So for this to happen, for us to bridge a gap, I think it's not something that's going to happen.
Is it? So you think it will not happen?
It is not anything that's going to happen anytime. You see, for the English Premier League, or the should I say, okay, one thing is that the Premier League also realized that in order for them to be efficient, they want to be so autonomous from the FA. So they decided to take themselves away from the FA. So the FA, of course, is there. They answer to them. But whatever decisions they take, their
It's a
sponsorship,
football
they
body. The
don't.
teams, everything is done by the
Yes,
Premier League.
that is
It's
what
an
the La
entity
Liga
on its
was
own.
trying to do between Angel Villa,
Yeah.
who was taken off because of his corrupt things, and the current that is La Liga
Javier
was
Tebas.
Javier Tebas, Angel Villa and Javier Tebas. But theirs was not completely secluded. There were still issues of having the Spanish, the
FA.
Royal Spanish Federation, and that. But for the English Premier League, it is so. In fact, the person who was the sole person who led the English Premier League to become that autonomous and start. They maintained him as the head for almost 20 years without changing him, so that he will roll out that plan to make it come into fruition. So for them, just like you said, they have Barclays. In fact, there was Carlin
Yeah,
who
there
was
was
sponsoring
Carlin.
them.
Yeah.
Then they gave it to Barclays. So it
Yeah.
was Barclay Card and Barclays. Then they realized they have come to a point that
We can generate enough money. We don't even need a headline sponsor.
if they say they are going to the British, what do you call it, the Bank of England, that we want a loan of 10 billion to give to make our league, what do you call it, marketable. You think the Bank of England will not give it to them?
They'll give it to them. I mean,
If
the
a
league is
season,
attractive enough.
they are getting 2.7 billion. And you know that when they started Premier League, they went for a loan from Bank of England with a template. And most of the things that they talked about was one, academy, two was good pitches, three was what do you call it, broadcasting.
And they've done all that.
They put that in it. And now, if you check their statistics and the amount of money that they are giving to the what you call it, the UK government alone, so they are more like untouchable. You hardly hear them. You realize when COVID issues came, it was like when the Premier League talks, even Margaret May could not say anything because they become so profitable and it was laid down plan. So if you say catch up to them, it is like seeing a billionaire. Seeing a Steve Jobs who had planned 30 years before, and you want to be like
So you're
him.
saying Josh can never be like Steve Jobs.
I never say that. I'm trying to say that they put templates down that you can now only see and be jealous of it.
Has it impacted on the other leagues in terms of the teams being competitive in terms of European competitions?
Why not? Leeds 2020, Leeds United were in championship. They did the money league for the most valuable and richest teams in Europe. Leeds was 18th. You couldn't find, in fact, they were ahead of AC Milan. That was one of the
Milan. They are good. AC
So
Milan.
now, this is the case that you had Sevilla. Sevilla was complaining bitterly. In 2016 or 2017, they were fighting over a player with AFC Bournemouth. When they lost the player, by then it was Munchi who had left AS Roma and had gone there. He was like, he doesn't
So
understand.
it's affected them.
How can a Sevilla who had won Europa back to back compete with AFC Bournemouth, who is, in fact, he is a roller coaster between championship and
Okay, so I think that it's time we switch to the second half of the discussion.
problem.
Which probably I'm sure a lot of guys are waiting for. Okay, so let's start off from Liverpool. Before Kofi will come back and
No problem.
we will all conclude. Let's
Yeah.
start from Liverpool. Jorginho Klopp earlier on in the season admitted we do not need to sign a midfielder. Admitted that the midfielders are okay. But as the season wore on, he realized that no, I was wrong. We need to sign. They go to the market, bring in Arthur Melo. Nobody knows where Arthur is right now. He's injured, issues with injuries and all of that. Just, I think a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, he was asked if they're going to sign. He says no, they are okay with the players that they have, the midfield they have. They are not going to sign any player. Do you think Liverpool have shot themselves in the foot by not at least bringing in any decent midfielder? Because we know the major problem with this Newcastle team is their midfield. And just this evening, I was reading reports that Kanute is also
3
out.
weeks.
Yes, he's also out injured. So the injuries keep piling up, and Jurgen Klopp and FSG are not looking at the possibility of signing players on loan to replace these guys. Do you think they've shot themselves in the foot? Guys, what do you make of Liverpool's inaction in this January transfer window? The question again, like I posed to Percy, do you think they've shot themselves in the foot and literally they have closed the dockets on them trying to make a push for the Champions League? What do you make of Liverpool's inability to sign any player in the January transfer window? I want to see your comments. I'll read them out soon.
I think Liverpool's inability to sign is, I will talk about it. Is one thing I will say is that it's or should I say complacency on the part of club. It wasn't this season that he even should have realized. Naby Keita, when was he signed?
Naby Keita was
2018.
signed
In fact, he was
2018.
signed 2017 and he played for 1 year.
Played for 1 year at Leipzig, then came back the following season.
How many matches has he played? In fact, what was his impact?
We know Naby Keita has issues with injuries.
So you signed him as a long-term replacement for Gerrard. You even gave him his jersey.
Yeah.
This person has not been consistent. That is one. You brought in a Fabinho who was almost burning out from Monaco. You've used every sap in him to win your league, to win FA Cup, to win whatever it is. You bring in a
Fabinho is
Thiago.
worn out.
He's done. He's done and dusted. You bring in a Thiago who had been used by Barca, has been
He's
used.
also done.
And you have Henderson. I don't want to talk about him.
Kofi's favorite player.
So actually, in actual sense, your midfield was very weak. You brought an Oxlade-Chamberlain who was a central midfielder. He was just a makeshift central midfielder. So in actual sense, there was no long-term midfielder who has been signed in Liverpool since 2018. Apart from Sabinho. Apart from what you call Naby Keita.
Come to think of it, that's the truth. If you
They've not signed any long-term.
If you look at the profile of players that Liverpool have in
They
central
were
midfield,
old.
they've not actually had a long-term
No.
replacement because Naby Keita, take away
Injury
Naby
prone.
Keita, he has his
Curtis
issues.
Jones is from,
Curtis
what do you
Jones,
call-
exactly. Now this young chap, his name is Badiasi or something.
Yeah.
I've forgotten his name. I'm not good with names like Kofi is. So is it a failure to plan?
I wouldn't say it's failure to plan. I would say I think that it has to do with his style of play and his preference in position. Because you've lost money, you spend almost, in fact, 100 million for a striker. That you have a lot that could have. Of course, you can talk about because of course Jota is injured
But
and
for
all
me,
of that.
I think that people are being unfair, guys. People are being
We are not
unfair
being-
with the price tag.
No. I'm not talking about the price tag of Nunes per se.
Of Nunes.
I was saying that
It's
you had
demand and supply.
No, you had a midfield issue. It's like it's needs and wants. Midfield
So
issue.
he should have spent that money replacing
He-
or fixing his midfield.
Because it will be like, okay, in Liverpool they have sacrificed their midfield for it, but your wing is not playing. Your what do you call your inverted wingers forwards, they are not playing. So if your midfield breaks, it means you are dead. You lost a Wijnaldum in your midfield. Naby Keita was inconsistent. Oxlade-Chamberlain is a makeshift. Fabinho is worn out. Thiago is worn out. Atta has been injury prone from Juventus.
They're from Barcelona.
Barcelona to Juventus. How many what matches did he play?
Abel says Sports 101, the best sports show. Thank you, Abel. Thanks, guys. Keep your comments coming. Do you think Liverpool have, more or less like they are their own enemies, by not signing at least a midfielder or a defender? Because for the striking options, I think they are okay. Or for the forward positions, I
Even
think
before
are
they
okay.
signed Nunes, they had about 5 or 6. Before they allowed Origi and Minamino to go, there was Origi, there was
Jota.
Minamigo, there was Jota, there was Salah. You had brought in Carvalho. There is Nunes,
Let's not forget
Luis Diaz. 7 for a position of 3. But for the midfield, the minimum number of positions you can play there is 3. You can even get 4. Now you have a Naby Keita who is injured. You have Fabinho who is worn out. You don't even play him anymore. You have a Henderson who is almost always injured or he's not even giving what he's supposed to give. And you also brought in an Arthur Melo who is also injured.
Or there's something the FSG group are not telling us. Liverpool don't have money.
They don't have money. They've got for a striker for 100 million. I don't even want to think of this.
Maybe sometimes when you are dealing with ownerships of such nature, they would tell you that, well, there is money, but in actual sense they will tell you that we don't want to spend be above maybe 100 million, and they've reached their spending cap. So Jorginho Klopp knows that, and so he cannot approach the owners of FSG. There's something because honestly, I do not think we know better than Jorginho Klopp in terms of his team.
Of course.
Even you and I sitting here can tell that there is a problem in the midfield. And guys, we all know there's a problem with the Liverpool midfield. But for some stubborn reason, he does not want to fix the problem in the midfield when clearly the January transfer window was open and is still open, and he's come out categorically to say that I'm not going to sign a player.
I don't want to
Is there
side with you.
something
I don't want to side
that
with you on what you
we
were
do not
saying,
know?
that he knows the team better and blah. Then why are we here?
He knows his team better
No,
than
no, no,
us
no. You, apart from that, you said something before that.
in terms of.
He said, I don't think we should criticize him because there is something that he doesn't know.
No, I'm saying that we may be too harsh, that we may not know.
And I'm
We are
asking you
being
that,
too
why
harsh.
are we here?
We may not know because the FSG they probably have a limit with which the team is
Lucky,
supposed
why
to
are
spend.
we here? Why are we here? Then if a team is set to go to the field and they lose 5-0, we have no right to go and criticize the coach because maybe we don't know some of the players, they came there and some of them, their parents are dead, they have issues in the house. Then we shouldn't talk.
So why did Jorginho Club not replace
So we are talking about actions on the outside. For whatever is going on inside, we are, unless if they make it preview to us, we will talk about it. But as far as we know, they've bought a striker for 100 million. They've bought a striker for 100 million. And before they brought a striker for 100 million, they have sold Sadio Mane. They have sold Origi. Minamino had gone on loan. So it means that even if it comes to your salary cap, it has gone down a little.
So let me put this news across for Barcelona fans. I'm sure you'll be excited. Barca are actually closing, deal Julian Araujo. He's actually, from LA Galaxy. He's a right back.
So now-
He's a right back. They're trying to replace. They do not really have a proper right
Hector
back.
Bellerin is gone.
Yeah, Bellerin is gone. They let go of Serginho Dest to
Serginho
AC
Dest
Milan. So they do not have a proper right back. They've actually been having makeshift right back in Jules Koundé, in
So now they go to MLS.
Araujo, and other, even
So isn't that now
Sergio Roberto.
Yeah. So isn't that now the leavers cannot take care of any player?
But what is wrong with signing a player from the MLS?
I never said that. There's no problem with
But
that.
people are signing players from Georgia. Who knew?
So now
Who
are you
knew?
now, so now we
Who
are
knew
so now that's what we are getting
that
to.
Kravatskaya. No, I'm coming. Who knew that Kravatskaya
no.
from Georgia, 5 million euros,
But like you
will
and
now
I
be
know
worth over 100 million
for
euros?
everything there is a discrepancy.
Exactly.
In how many times we get a discrepancy? It is 1 in a million. So now we are getting there that if you get a player from MLS, it's cool. No, I just want to hear that from you.
There are good players from the MLS.
So if
Barca
Barcelona
fans,
gets a player from MLS, it's cool.
let's wait to see what happened in terms of Julian Araujo. So the Cameroonian striker Albert, what's his name? Albert Duad, Didoni is joining Accra Hearts of Folk on a 3-year loan deal. So Hearts are signing. Sure, if you be there. Hearts of Folk are signing. Liverpool are not signing. Even Hearts of Folk, they are signing. Kotoko just bought a Brazilian player. Producer, Kotoko has a Brazilian, player this season. Hearts are signing. Yet Liverpool are being stubborn. Liverpool, Jorginho Club. We are talking about Liverpool and their inactivity this January transfer window. Do you think it's done for their push for the Champions League?
Liverpool. Are you talking about Champions League for Liverpool?
Yeah.
I thought you would talk about Europa.
No, but you see, if you look at the league table, yes, they are 9 points away from the top 4, but 9 points is just 3 games. And Spurs losing 3 games, Newcastle losing 3 games, United losing 3 games is not a big thing. It can easily happen. Liverpool can decide to go on a 5-game winning run. United can all of a sudden drop in form. Newcastle can drop in form. So for me, 9 points is nothing much. We have how many games to go? About 18 games to be played. So, but their inactivity in January, is it done? They are charged towards, because one, they are not playing well. The entire team, they are low on morale, loss of form. Salah has dipped in form. The team practically is on a low. There's no injection in there. Do you think it's done?
I wouldn't say it's done, but I think it is the cycle of life. The cycle of life. Ten Hag says something that they are playing well, but empires do crumble. They go up and down. And I don't want to believe that Liverpool is going back to factory settings that they used to be, because you are not able to sign. You don't play in Europe. What happens to your big guns that you brought? It's either they leave or they stick with you. Unfortunately, Salah just signed a bumper deal that last summer. So will Salah leave? And per the level to that Salah has gotten to, it will be so easy for a team to price him away.
So Piqué sides with me by saying Liverpool just don't have money.
I don't want to believe that. The very fact that Fenway
And for
Sports
me,
Group,
I have a feeling,
no, no,
Charlie,
no, 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 no,
the
no, no.
money is
You are telling
outspent
me Liverpool don't have money.
because I still don't get it.
They don't have money.
So
And Bournemouth has money to buy players.
so maybe when Piqué says they don't have money, for me, I side with him. It's not necessary that
I don't want
there's
to
no
be, no,
money.
no, no, no.
They do not want to. Maybe they've reached their spending limit.
Why would you say they've reached a spending limit? Why?
Every team has have a spending limit. Because there was a time when Pep Guardiola looked at, no, we cannot go for what is it called, this young chap, the left back from Brighton who went to Chelsea. We cannot go, and Cucurella, that amount of money does not meet our budget, so we are not going to sign him, and they pulled out of the deal. Every team has an amount they want to spend on a player, an amount they want to spend for a season. Maybe this season Liverpool have reached their spending limit and they do not want to go beyond it, so in a way they do not have the money to spend. Because honestly, guys, does it make sense to you? You know the problem you have, yet you do not want to fix it. For Liverpool, we are talking about Liverpool and their inactivity in January. For me, that's what I think.
What you think is that Liverpool don't have the money to
Because
spend?
I'm trying to run around, trying to rack my
What
brain and all of
now?
that.
What
I'm not seeing any reason why or the reason behind their inactivity
did
this
you check
transfer
their
window.
last what you call the reports, their financial reports last year?
I'm
It
yet to
wasn't
read
as
that.
if they declared that they were bankrupt. Liverpool are not embarking on any project like they are renovating.
You don't need to embark on a project
No,
for.
the only time that you had a team not signing for a whole season for that story, you are talking about Tottenham in 18-19.
Uh-huh.
The reason was that they were completing their stadium. And Daniel Levy made it clear. What have they embarked on? If a team is able to spend 100 million on one player, how can you tell me the team has now all of a sudden gone bankrupt?
Okay, let me take your views on Jorginho to Arsenal. Then, Kofi will come in and we'll look at the major transfers that have happened. So, these are the numbers in terms of player comparison. One of the reasons why Arteta signed Jorginho, let's put it out there, is that over the years he's had love for Jorginho. He feels he is the kind of player that fits his style of play as a manager, and is the profile of player he wants as a manager. He's admired him even at his time at Manchester City. For me, Jorginho is one of those intelligent players. He's a proper metronome. He's a proper Italian register. When you say a register, one of the take away Kovacic in Chelsea, like I was telling Kofi, very press resistant, knows how to shield the ball. When you are pressing Jorginho, it'll be difficult for you to get the ball from him. He's not your typical strong, central defender, box to box defender. He's very, flexible. You don't have to be very muscular, very strong, rugged kind of, defensive midfielder. What's his name? Patrick Vieira was very lanky, tiny, but his ability to maneuver the ball, show the ball, his eye for a pass, and that's what Jorginho brings you. But I look at Jorginho from Chelsea to Arsenal. This is a player who is crosses, is in his early 30s.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why Arsenal is their youth, the ability to, run, the ability to press. But Jorginho, age-wise, you want somebody to replace Partey because of his injury issues. If Partey is not there, somebody who can at least give you 50 to 60%. You cannot fall on Lokonga. Why don't you break the bank and sign Caicedo, but you bring in Jorginho? Let's look at the numbers between Partey and Jorginho. Then we can properly have a discussion. So these are the total tackles. Partey 2.32 in terms of tackles per game, as in per game per 90 minutes. Jorginho has 2.95 interceptions. Partey makes 1.23. Jorginho makes 1.48. Ball recoveries. Partey makes 8.01. Jorginho makes 8.36. Passes completed. Partey makes 5.24. Jorginho makes 52.48. Partey makes 58.24. In terms of forward passing, Jorginho has a higher percentage, 30, let's say almost 31%. Partey almost 29%. So apart from pass completion, Jorginho best Partey in every single thing as a defensive midfielder. So why are people crying foul about this deal? Because clearly Kofi is not so much keen on stats. But if you look at the stats and the numbers, literally what a central defensive midfielder does, Jorginho best Partey in every position. Let's look at that
You,
deal. Does it make sense to you? Guys,
this is
that's the I want your take on this one, guys. PK, Abel, and all the guys watching. What's your take on the Jorginho switch from Chelsea to Arsenal? Good move? Do you think it's a solid move for Arsenal? And will that aid Arsenal's cause this season?
Why would you even compare Partey to Jorginho?
Why?
The funny thing is that because of probably this season and maybe a little of last season, Jorginho is a proper player, twice what Partey would be. No,
No, what did you say? Take
I
that again.
said Jorginho
Uh-huh.
is a better player, twice, probably three times what Partey would be.
Guys, do you agree with him? This guy, what is it called? Messi
but-
is
no, but-
raising
no, but-
a debate here. He says Jorginho is twice the player Partey would dream to
Of
be.
course, but why would see? This is one deal that you bought a better player.
I hope Kofi is listening. Kofi will probably have his take on
No,
this when he comes.
it's like you buying a better player to replace an existing one. Or to,
Even Jorginho at 30 plus.
listen,
is better
no,
than
I don't
Partey
know. I
at
don't know.
20s,
No, I don't know why.
28 plus.
No, why? Tell me what Partey does better than Jorginho.
Well, per the numbers, actually, take away the
Even-
passes
let's
completed.
even say that it's not-
Jorginho best Partey. I mean, total tackles. Jorginho is
Listen.
making almost 3 tackles per 90 minutes. Interception, Jorginho is making twice what Partey is doing. Ball recoveries, Jorginho is making twice what
It's okay,
Partey
it's okay,
does.
it's okay.
Literally, Jorginho
It's
is
okay.
best in Partey
Listen,
in every single.
you are talking about a player who is part of the last 3 years of Chelsea renaissance. In fact, he's an integral member of the reason why Chelsea won the Champions League.
And Italy lifting.
I'm not even, I will come to that. An integral member of why Chelsea has won whatever they won. UEFA Best Player of the Year. Once he was even touted to win, of course, that one was just one show, but he was touted to even win Ballon d'Or. You go to Italy alongside Verratti or Manolo Locatelli. What a midfield. They are run to the final to win. Is it because of his last few matches form or because of the form Chelsea is in? Jorginho is one of the best midfielders in the world.
Actually, I think some time ago I
In
said
fact,
this.
he is.
He's one of the
You
best
don't bring him Partey.
registers you can find.
Bringing
around.
Partey close. In fact, comparing him to Partey is an insult. It's an insult. It's just like comparing Essien to Partey.
You see,
Listen, Jorginho is
I've
not.
gone to the screen and hey,
Jorginho is one of the most intelligent midfielders you've ever gotten.
you are literally belittling our
I
own
am
Thomas
not
Partey.
belittling Thomas Partey.
Have you seen
Tell me what is special about Partey that is better than
his
what?
Partey's eye for a pass?
Do you watch Jorginho and his eye for pass?
Partey's interceptions?
Interception. Do you watch
Partey's
Jorginho?
ability to transition from
Do
defense
you
to
watch?
attack.
Do you watch Jorginho? How many
Arsenal's-
years has Partey done this?
Arsenal's renaissance or
Which has led to
resurgence,
what? Which
Arsenal's
has led to
quest
what?
for their first
Which
league
has led
trophy
to what?
in God knows
at
how
what
long
you're saying.
is practically dependent on Thomas Partey.
Everything you are saying is their renaissance to what? To what?
They are leading the league.
What have they won? They are winning. They are leading the league. No problem. What have they won? Don't make that see the way we are making this whole transfer to be.
So you think?
It is not. I think it's the fact. Don't say I think.
So can Jorginho outstage Partey?
Don't be surprised that Jorginho walks into this team and Partey becomes a bench warmer. Don't
Whoa.
be surprised. Oh, don't be surprised.
Viewers, PK, do you think Jorginho can outstage Partey at Arsenal?
Don't be surprised.
We've put the numbers out there. A lot. I mean, the debate. Okay, let's have a pool. Jorginho, Partey. Producer, give us a pool. Producer, give us a pool. Jorginho, Partey. Let me put out the numbers again. Guys, if you are watching, keep streaming. And those that have joined us from day one, listen, we love you so much. You've been a part of the success story of Sports 101. And we are doing this with you live. This is our transfer deadline show. From one of the best shows we've had so far. I want to see your comments in the live chat. let's have a pool. Let's have a pool right now. Jorginho Partey, who is a better defensive midfielder? Do you think? So VP reality. I'll give you the breakdown to why City will sell Cancelo, and for me, I think that is about the best thing. If you have somebody who is a disruptive figure and would bring, try to cause problems in your team, you let him go. No player, even Messi, Barcelona, some boys say Messi leave. How much more Cancelo? We'll bring you the backstory to that and all the happenings on the major what is it called transfer happening. So PK says that, listen, Percy 100%, PK support you 100%. If PK, is it your bias for Chelsea that is making you say this? Because I think that you love Chelsea so much that everything Chelsea is good. So clearly, Jorginho is better than Partey. PK says Jorginho is a total better player than Partey, period. What has Partey done? Nothing. So let's have a pool. Producer, let's have a pool. Partey, Jorginho, who is a better player? Let me run by you the numbers or the stats again. So this is total tackles per game in the 2022-2023 season, even when Chelsea are not in the best of form. Now, total tackles, Jorginho is making almost 3 tackles per game. Partey is making, let's say, 2.5 or 2 thereabout, because 2.32 is just 2 thereabout. Interceptions per game, Partey is making 1.23, Jorginho is making 1.48. If you're a lover of stats, this will help you. Ball recoveries, Partey is making 8, Jorginho is making 8.3. Passes completed, Jorginho is making 52.48, Partey is making 58.24. Forward pass percentage, Partey is making 28.98, literally 29. Jorginho is making 30.97, literally 31. So apart from passes completed, Jorginho, even in the current Chelsea state, best Partey on every front. Jorginho, Partey, who is a better midfielder?
So actually, you are talking about Partey's best season
Partey's best season
against Jorginho in the West
season.
Even that one. No, that's the stats you just gave. That's not all time.
This is Partey's best
See,
season.
listen, Lucky. I said this is insult to professionalism in football.
Oh,
No, we don't do this. No, but I don't see. I am not saying it to probably downplay Partey to be a Ghanaian or something, but I am an objective person.
Jorginho is a better player.
Listen. See, let me tell you Fabinho is better than Partey. Let me start mentioning. Fabinho is better than Partey.
On what grounds?
Seriously, this is Fabinho's worst season.
On what grounds?
On what grounds? It is about what the player has done. Or what this is
because Origi has won the Champions
not
League.
Origi. I said
Fabinho. Does that make him better than a player like Marcus Rashford?
Listen to me.
Is Jorginho a better player than Marcus Rashford?
Please. What was the role of Origi?
Is Jorginho a better? Origi a better player than Marcus Rashford?
No,
in all honesty,
never.
In terms of the player's profile,
no.
But you go on that tangent by saying that what has he achieved?
I'm listening.
So you're looking at in terms of achievements.
I'm about talking. I'm not just talking about what the person has achieved. What was the person's role in whatever they achieved? Origi, for whatever Liverpool achieved, he was still a bench player.
But he was so integral to Liverpool lifting that trophy.
The very fact that you are integral, what is Rodrigo Goes?
Yeah.
He was integral in Real Madrid winning the Champions League. But how many?
The pool is out. Okay. But guys, the pool is out. Jorginho, Partey, who is a better player? So guys, keep voting. We want to see your votes there. Mm-hmm. Who is a better player? Kofi, join us soon. I'm sure you have a stake on this topic. Who is a better player? Jorginho, Partey. I've put out the stats. And you think that, I've put out the stats. You think that if he goes to Arsenal, he's going to outstage Partey in that Arsenal midfield, or that Arsenal midfield, Partey is untouchable?
Like I was saying, the very fact that Rodrigo Goes scores in the semi-final or quarterfinals so that PSG will be taken off does not mean that he was what do you call it? One of the mainstays in Real Madrid winning.
Hey, already the votes are coming in and Partey is leading. No.
I'm saying that. See,
some people don't agree with you.
It's not. See, some people think one player is better than the other. The sad thing is that what you read right now
Yeah.
is Partey's supposed best season against Jorginho's supposed worst season, and even that one is better than him. We don't make such comparisons. Partey is having a night. It's just like when the comparison of Partey and Casemiro
Let me
came.
pause there. So Andrews Kusi comes back to give us shouts, guys. You are doing a great job, and those watching us, Charlie, we love you as well. Thanks so much for your support. Andrews comes back to say Enzo to Chelsea will break the internet this evening. It's true. Literally everybody is waiting for that deal to go through or fall through. If it falls through, Charlie, the Chelsea fans will be disappointed. If it goes through, the excitement will break the internet. PK says that Pate who can't beat, who can't even fill Black Stars what midfield with Samuel, and you compare him to Italian regime. Come on, Lucky. Oh, yeah, PK, forgive me. I'm only being a good host now. PK comes and say Jorginho will start ahead of Pate in that Arsenal team. PK comes to say they are all Ghanaians. Okay, let's share it to the Italians too and see. So he's saying that those voting are Ghanaians. Let's take the pools to Italy.
So, like,
Let them
of
judge.
course, it will be very unfair.
Uh-huh.
Like I was saying, it will be so unfair.
So a bit on the Chelsea deal. So Chelsea will try to what is it called? Conclude the deal for Enzo. The meeting is still ongoing. There were reports earlier on this evening that there's an arranged medical for Enzo, Fernandez to fly to
But
Chelsea.
it's so
But the
funny.
report has been quashed by saying there's no arranged medical. They are still locked in a heated meeting. This deal will probably be one of the protracted deals we've seen happen in January, and it might happen at the last hour, 11:59. Then you'll probably come out of because all of a sudden the likes of Fabrizio, everybody is quiet. You don't want to be
Of
releasing
course,
info because you don't know where the deal will
of
land.
course.
So let's hope that it goes through or it falls through, whatever it is. We'll keep you updated. But keep your votes coming in. I'll go back to the polls very soon. Pate, Jorginho, who would you have in your team currently? Pate and Jorginho, who is the better midfielder?
We've already concluded on that. I'm not talking about it
So
anymore.
okay, so let's get to their role in Arsenal. Do you think that Pate's addition to this Arsenal setup makes them very, very strong and gives them some form of edge over City?
One thing that has had us now having an edge over City is the way whenever they are playing, they
Pause
don't
there.
keep.
Sorry, this is very important. Charlie, send the super stickers. We need the super stickers. Those watching us from, even if you are in Ghana, you can still send the super stickers outside Ghana. Super chats. Just send $5, $10, $20, $100. The super chats will do some good. Just send them. Show your love with the super stickers. It's very important. Continue now. Would his addition elevate the Arsenal midfield? Because look at the likes of Lokonga. These guys are low grade players. But we've seen Jorginho's influence even in his worst season for Chelsea and Chelsea's worst season. Everything he best party. Would that elevate the Arsenal midfield?
Of course, it will, because now if you are a party and you look over your shoulder and there is a Jorginho, Champions League winner, Euros winner,
A proven
excuse
winner.
me, who is a starter. In
Yeah.
fact, a starter in fact the top six, he can start in about four of them, and he is your backup. You would even be very careful not to even be injured.
Pate cannot play as though I've seen Pate Atletico time and number again. He being tried at this advanced central midfield
Yes.
role as a proper eight, a metronome of a sort. Jorginho actually is a
Yes.
born metronome at the same time a
Very good.
register.
Yeah.
Somebody who can alternate between the two midfield positions.
So putting him, he being your backup, would make you very cautious and would really put you on your toes. I think from onwards, Pate would be very, in fact, he should be very, very, very cautious of his diet. I'm serious, of his diet,
Obi Betuno.
of his lifestyle,
Yeah.
from what we've been hearing here and there and every, because if he gets injured and what you call it, Logino takes his place, You can't change a winning team. He won't come back and just walk into the team. Unless probably Granit Xhaka is taking off and they play two DMs.
I'm laughing because
Because
uh,
Jorginho taking this position will make it his.
Andrew says that even Partey himself will vote for Jorginho.
Because if
Andrew,
this is no debate. This is no debate. We can't use this 3-4 month form of Partey to usurp for whatever that Jorginho has done over the past 3-4-5 years.
another breaking news. So people are signing, but Liverpool are not signing. Even Great Olympics, they are signing. So Great Olympics have signed Jindo Morishita from is it from Japan, Korea? I don't even know. So Great Olympics, they've signed in Jindo Morishita. The Ghanaian league has been is gradually becoming, is enticing foreign players, Brazilian players, players from Cameroon, players from Japan, Korea,
We've
China.
already, we've always
So
had.
for the Olympics fans, you've signed a player. Welcome, Jindo Morishita. Let's look at the influence of.
But you remember there was a Japanese player who was signed to one of the Ghanaian teams some time back.
Yes.
Is it Dwarfs?
Yeah, Dwarfs. No, Dwarfs used to also be.
He
an
never
exciting
played.
team.
Did he play?
That's where they see Jindo. Oli Jindo. Oli Jindo. So let's look at Partey's influence in this Arsenal.
So see, Jorginho coming into this team will bring a lot of seriousness in the midfield.
Yeah.
You can't just mess around.
Okay.
And I don't think he would always start from the bench. I don't want to believe that.
Yeah.
You don't buy a Jorginho and decide. Probably there are some times that Arteta might want to maybe try something else, maybe play two holding, and maybe sometimes try to take away that 4-2-3 and make it maybe a 4-3-3, something somewhat just to try to because you can't buy Jorginho and say he will start from the bench all the time. It's not going to happen. So I think one, it will put Partey on his toes. Two, it will make the midfield very because one of the most non-competitive aspects of the whole Arsenal setup is the midfield.
Partey has a field day. If he goes off, he can decide to go off for 2 years. He'll come back and the position is there. On the note of competitiveness, I think Kweku, say Usher says that Arteta's team is all about competition. He doesn't guarantee anyone in the team. Maybe we can look at ESM and Martinelli. That's the truth. And clearly, like you said, it looks at even almost every single position. There's not so much competitiveness in the team apart from the forward line. Martin Odegaard's position, nobody can play. Saka's position, who is there? If Saka is out in yet, who can be that competition to Saka? Apart from maybe the striking role where Martinelli can play as a false nine, Nketiah can play as a nine, Gabriel Jesus can play as a nine. Apart from that role, the other roles, there's very little competition for them. Even the central defenders. If Gabriel and Saliba are out, who would come in as a solid central defender as a competition?
But that was what we said about Nketiah. What do you call it? Gabriel Jesus.
Then Nketiah came in.
Well,
let's see what happens. But guys, keep your votes coming in as well. Oh, the question is, we'll look at the Partey thing. Oh, the Partey thing hasn't been taken off. We didn't check the polls. Who won? So there's another Q&A. Which team did the best transfer business? Chelsea, Arsenal. Let's look around. Teams that have signed. Which team did the best transfer business? Kofi will join us very, very soon. So, Jorginho, let's rate this Arsenal signing on a scale of 1 to 10. Where do you score in terms of Arsenal?
I think they've done a brilliant moving away from Moise Caicedo. I think Brighton woo this opportunity.
They'll come back to cry. No, next season nobody will pay. What if the guy gets injured?
You want 60 million for Moise Caicedo?
Not 60, 70.
And I'm saying
plus,
that you got 60 million. What
Arsenal
else do you want?
Arsenal table 70.
This is just like these guys who bet. You bet and you want an amount.
Josh.
And you've gotten something close to it.
Our producer
just
Josh.
Cash out.
Our producer Josh.
Instead of pressing cash out, you don't cash out.
He had the opportunity to cash out 20,000, but he wanted 40,000. He lost 40,000.
So you can't cash out.
See, when your family members are after you, that is what happens.
So Brighton probably they should have cashed out. And Arsenal see, Jorginho is 100 times what. In fact, he's 100 times what Moise Caicedo would think of doing.
A, B, C, D.
Arsenal is a B plus. They've done a B plus
on this transfer. A B plus.
B plus.
Solid deal.
They looked at where they would really need both because they realized that where they are getting to, and they look at Partey, who is one of their mainstays. They need to bolster
Final
that team.
question before Kofi comes. Final question. Which team has made the best transfer? We'll look at, when Kofi comes, we'll look at all the players Arsenal have signed, all the players Chelsea have signed. We'll talk about this, all these plenty things. We'll look at the fallout from all these signings. But which of the teams have made the best transfer business
I think that is in England
in England? Because
for
in Spain, Barcelona, Real Madrid, they didn't. Real Madrid says they are not signing. In Italy, nobody's making any solid deal. So all the transfer business is in Spain. Which team has made
is it
United?
for okay
We are putting everything together.
yeah
The season,
yeah the season
United,
for
Chelsea,
the season
City.
I would say it's between United and Arsenal.
Why do you say so?
For Tottenham, they've signed players, but not many of them have made impact. And
Okay.
majority of the players they've signed are even in January. For United, the major players they signed were Anthony, Casemiro,
Uh-huh.
Ericsson,
Uh-huh.
Malacia. They are the major people that were signed.
Okay.
So far, Ericsson has been superb till his injury.
Yeah.
Casemiro, the less say the better.
Yeah.
Tony Runabout. He's not been bad, but it's just the price tag that is weighing him down. But if let's say he was worth about 40
I
million,
don't know what Piquet's problem is with Liverpool. Piquet says they are on Liverpool on an IMF right now. Hmm?
so like I
He
was,
says Spurs did the best transfer. They did the best transfer in terms of business in the transfer market. He rates them as a D. Hey, deep on the bestie. Partey is better since he's strong. Reese Gunter says Partey is better. Kukushe says, I beg to differ. Percy, Arsenal did a straight A in terms of scoring. You rated Arsenal
B
as
plus.
a B plus. He think that Arsenal got it spot on with an A. Which team has made the best transfer business in terms of the season? We're not just
I'm
looking
now
at
doing it.
January.
Yes, I'm now
Yes,
doing
the
it.
season. So
So
United.
yes,
We'll not go to the other leagues because most
No,
of
no,
them
no.
didn't sign.
No, no, no.
United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs. Which team has done? Let's not forget, Anthony Gordon has landed at Newcastle as well.
Yes.
Sean Dyke. When Kofi comes, we'll look at Sean Dyke
Okay, so
at
like I
Everton.
was saying, for United, out of the four, Anthony, if he was worth for around 40 or 35, it was a good performance, but saved 100. But even with that, he's scoring some number of goals, and that is okay. So United have had a very good transfer.
So for you think it's United?
No. I'm comparing just United and Arsenal. With Arsenal, they got the spot on with Gabriel with 5 goals, 5 assists till he went off.
Yeah.
They also brought in what do you call it? They've just brought in Jorginho in. They brought in William Saliba, who has been excellent since his coming on. So it would be between Arsenal and
Pick one. I don't like people who love to sit on the fence. Pick one.
for now, I would give it to Arsenal.
So you think the entire, in terms of the English Premier League, Arsenal have had the
They
best in
didn't
terms of,
sign plenty. They didn't do
but
it
the
like
very
some people are doing.
the very few players they
Yes.
bought to are
Even
top.
Saliba,
Yeah.
the signing of Saliba
Yeah.
and Gabriel Jesus.
Saliba is literally their own player, and they practically brought him back.
But it's still a
They
signing.
signed him, let him go on loan, and bring him back. So the player is theirs.
But it's still a player they brought in.
They just decided go and get more experience and come back.
So if we are not using that, if we are using the fact that players that came in, yes, for that one, I'll give
Arsenal.
it. But if that's not the case, I'll give it to United.
Okay, so guys, what do you make of the signing so far? Which team has had the best, transfer market in terms of business that have been done? There's Arsenal. We are not looking at just January. We are looking at the entire season so far. There's Arsenal. There's Arsenal. There is Real Madrid. Real Madrid did not sign any player. Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool. I don't want to talk about it. So Kofi will come and will have a stake in terms of what he makes of this Jorginho Partey debate has been ignited on our chat, and everybody is having his say. Jorginho Partey, Percy literally wiped the floor with our very own Thomas. Thomas Day Party. But for me, I think that if you look at the achievement of Jorginho, if you look at what he's done, Partey is yet to get there. And he said something which is very crucial. Kofi, he said, this is Partey's best season in an Arsenal team that is having their best season. Yet, the numbers that Jorginho is pulling up in terms of Chelsea's worst season and even Jorginho's worst season, Partey's numbers don't even come close to that.
Well, you are the guy who believes in the numbers.
You don't
So
believe so.
no,
Let's speak frankly. Jorginho Partey, who would you pick? If you're building a proper team and these guys were in their top form, who would you have in there?
for honestly, I'll go for Partey.
Whoa,
Yes, I
that's
would.
surprising. Why Partey?
Well, I think that Partey is a lot more mobile. He's a lot more stronger,
Yeah.
and I think that he offers a lot more dynamism than what Jorginho does offer. So
In
I'll go
real
for
essence,
Partey.
Jorginho is more dynamic in terms of his ability to
Anytime I watch
marshal
Jorginho,
those two
no,
central
anytime I watch
defensive roles with
Jorginho,
ease.
I look at a player who cannot play the EPL. Anytime I look at Jorginho, I look at a player who's too slow, too calculating.
Is that not what makes him who he is? Look at someone like Sergio Busquets.
Well,
Sergio
for
Busquets
me,
is your
let me be
slow.
honest. I've never been a big fan of Jorginho. I've never rated him as a footballer. And I am not going to sit here and do one over Partey. I think Partey is an
Partey.
okay player.
So you would have Partey in your
I
team.
would have Partey over Jorginho any
You have
day.
Partey over
Over
any.
Jorginho
So
any
let
day.
me take some comment. But guys, keep the super stickers. We want to see some super stickers. Send us those super stickers. It's very, very important. Emmanuel Apia says that good show, guys. Thank you very much, Ima. PK says Todd Bowley better get Enzo or else Hey, you are so fixated on this Enzo deal. Charlie, it's still not happening though. They are still meeting.
It looks like it won't
Yeah,
happen.
it might fall through. Okay, so Epike says Newcastle. He feels Newcastle have done the best. Newcastle have signed their own Gordon from Everton.
Everton, yeah.
Newcastle are making some silent deals on the side. So Kweku Shea comes back to say that good job, guys. Your show is very informative and amazing. Nevertheless, Kofi should be a bit objective with his opinion. Sometimes I feel he's a bit. They say you love Man U too much. When it comes to Man U, you never find anything wrong with Man U.
Well, there's a lot of things that are wrong with Manchester
They
United,
say
but I
every
did.
day you are biased when it
Well,
comes to United.
I think that on the subject matter that we have spoken about, I struggle to find anything negative I should have said about Man United.
Miguel has given you a new name, Kofi Sabitzer.
Yeah,
But that name
man.
is nice, Kofi
Yeah,
Sabitzer.
man.
Don't forget Phil Jones is still a United
That guy is a
player.
product of grace.
So, Cancelo to Bayern Munich. It was a surprise to many. Many didn't see it coming. Yesterday, when I saw reports that that deal might materialize, I started digging and I realized that this deal solely came about as a result of a rift between a player and his manager. So, when he returned from the international break, he lost his position literally. And Pep Guardiola, in an interview with, your former defender, was Rio Ferdinand. He asked Rio Ferdinand, in all those years of Manchester United's glory days, what had been one of their success story? And he said Ferguson made sure, or it is sunk into the players that nobody is unchangeable in the team. And you realize that Ferguson didn't care losing Ruud van Nistelrooy to Real Madrid. He didn't care letting go of, David
Dubstar.
Beck, all these players. You are not untouchable. If that gets into the mind of the players, they know that I can lose my position at every time. If you realize City, very few players have a concrete starting bench. If you are not playing well, you don't start. Even Kevin De Bruyne recently, when he's formed deep, he wasn't starting. So Cancelo felt that his position, he had lost his position, he's not playing well. What literally broke the camel's back was that Arsenal game, that FA Cup game where he didn't get that selection. He had, vented out his anger at training to some of the players and Pep Guardiola himself, and he says, "Hey, if you want to go, you can go." That literally is the reason why Cancelo is going on loan with an option to buy. What do you make of that deal, Cancelo to Bayern, and the fact that he feels that I have to be playing more?
Well, I think that's a strange one. I am told it goes back to the Chelsea game on the 5th of January. And anyone who has watched Cancelo in recent weeks would realize that Cancelo has lost a
He
lot
has,
of
he has
form.
dipped. He has dipped in form.
Well, you cannot challenge the manager and expect to be in the dressing room. I think this is the end of the road for Cancelo. As good as he is a player, you cannot match him up against Pep Guardiola. For me, there was always going to be one winner in this particular battle. Yes, I agree he's gone to a good team in Bayern. Bayern already have their issues. They are one of the teams
Bayern
that
too,
are,
they're also struggling. Oh,
yes, I mean, they have drawn their last three home
yeah.
fixtures and they need a lot more dynamism. Alfonso Davies came back over the weekend.
It wasn't good at
But
all.
yes, but you realize that at the right fullback position, it's a trouble spot for Bayern
Bayern.
Munich, and Cancelo likes to play at the right fullback position. So I think it's a win-win scenario. But
Do you
sad
think
story.
he'll be as effective? Because I think it was more of a system. Because Cancelo at Juventus was not the Cancelo we are seeing at City. Pep Guardiola, in a way, found a system that magnified the player's qualities, and we saw the best of Cancelo. If this was Cancelo at Juventus, I'm sure the price tag would have even been higher than that. So he going to Bayern Munich, do you think that he can be the Cancelo of last season, 2 seasons ago,
Well, I think he
or the
can.
system may not
Well,
necessarily
I think he
harness his
can. I
strengths?
think he can. I think that Bayern is an excellently run team. They have a coach who understands the dynamics of the players that he has on board, and I think that Cancelo can. And even for Cancelo, I think City are potentially could be making a lot of very good business. 63 million euro for Cancelo. I think that's a sweet piece of business, and so I think it's a win-win scenario for both parties. Cancelo gets to have a lot of playing
Who
time.
loses the most? City, because Pep Guardiola was
Well, I
asked and
think
he says
City.
Pep
I
Pep
think City loses.
Pep says
I
he
think
believes that he has enough options in Kyle Walker, in the emergence of
Luis
Rico Lewis, and even John Stones has played that. He might not give you that same position,
and
but
Nathan Ake. I
Nathan
mean,
Ake
recently, yeah.
exactly recently. So he believes that if the structure is intact, whoever comes in can get the job done. And so far, whoever comes in has been able to get the job done.
Well, I mean, listen, when Cancelo was in his pomp, he was about one of the best fullbacks in the
Switch
EPL. I doubt if
for
there's
2 seasons
anybody.
running
I doubt if
EPL
there's
Team of the Year.
anybody in the City team that can match the kind of quality Cancelo
I
does
agree.
provide.
I agree.
But there again, you would have to look at the temperature in the dressing room. You would have to gauge the sort of exposure to the bad apples in the dressing room. I'm told Cancelo is a fiery character. I
Very,
mean,
very
he's just
fiery.
like a volcano. And that when he was dropped by Pep Guardiola, he had a nasty confrontation in the dressing room.
Yeah,
Pep Guardiola just had to take him away for the good of the team.
yeah.
It's a win-win scenario for both parties, but I think that Cancelo stands to gain the most. He has a better chance of winning the Champions League with
So we
Bayern.
have just about 5 minutes to check out. Todd Bowley and Chelsea. Chelsea have made massive recruitment even in January. The players that Chelsea have bought in January, they are somebody's, 2 seasons running.
Well, they know they will be banned. I mean,
They
in all
have they
likelihood,
bought Santos from Brazil. They bought this, was it Badiashile? They have this guy from Belgium.
Nkunku.
Nicolas Nkuku will come in next season. They are trying to make a push for Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea have practically bought an entire team because from defense to midfield to an attack, the only thing or the only position Chelsea have not bought is a goalkeeper. Because in defense, they've bought. In midfield, they've bought. They are trying to buy. In attack, they've bought. Do you think they? I read somewhere that Graham Potter wants to have his team so that next season they are not going to move around trying to get players. Preseason starts, he has the team he wants to work with. Good move or backfire in the long run?
Well, I think it's a bad move.
Because there'll be players that will be coming back from injury.
Well, for me, I think that what Chelsea have done is to terribly destabilize the ecosystem. I think the imbalance in the squad is absolutely.
So it's happening. The Enzo deal is happening. So guys, if you're a Chelsea fan, be excited. The Enzo deal is happening. So we too, this is our here we go, right? The Enzo deal is happening. I'll give you the breaking news and the 411, but the Enzo deal is almost about concluding right now. Let's you can add the Enzo part to it.
Well, hopefully it happens. I mean, but I see this coming too late in the day. They might probably have issues with the paperwork. I, I,
Sure, by this time, there's almost about an hour,
well,
plus left.
till I see the player hold the jersey.
Are you one of those people?
I am one of those people who is holding, because you can't wear your
Well,
jersey.
you see, he's a United fan. He knows where he's coming from. The year deal,
no
this
no
Ike Munyain deal, and all of
no
that.
you can't wear your jersey to somebody's player, on somebody's player, if I should say it that way. So until I see the player hold the jersey and do the things he does, I think that I'm still holding my horses. I think that they've left it a bit too late
So
in the deal.
breaking news: the deal has finally been agreed between Benfica and Chelsea. An amount has been agreed. It's the deal is practically completed or literally completed. So for the Chelsea fans, you can smile. PK, I want to hear your take on this deal now that it's done. Guys, finally, before we check out, the deal is concluded now. Chelsea will have their man Enzo Fernandez. I'm sure they will close the docket on the signing of any player this season and probably even next season. Chelsea have signed a lot.
They are mad.
I looked at the numbers.
They are mad.
I looked at the numbers, Kofi, and Chelsea have signed in a transfer window. They've broken the record for an English club or even any club in the world. Chelsea have signed in excess, almost in terms of the net spending transfer. They are hitting around 400 million pounds.
Absolute
That is
madness.
outrageous.
Absolute madness.
If
And
you
for
put
me,
everything together, net
for me,
spending,
for me,
they're
I
getting
am
to
worried
400.
about UEFA that they stand by and allow this level of
Because
madness.
Chelsea found a little education. Chelsea found a loophole in the FFP where Chelsea, most of the deals are amortized. So the Modric deal, though is huge, it may even amount to 100 million in a year or two, but it's amortized, it's spread over. So in a season, Chelsea could be paying around just 20 million. And that's why you could hear Chelsea assigning player for 7 years, 5 years, 8 years, because they found a loophole. And actually, UEFA came out to say because of that, next season they will correct that rule, but it will not affect Chelsea this season.
Well, that's madness. Still, it does not
Over almost
eradicate the
400
madness.
million.
For me, I think that Chelsea are digging their own grave.
Why?
You might be excited at the prospect of having all of these players on board, but there's one thing you cannot take away from a team: the team spirit.
Enzo is on Turkish airline. Let me give the flight number. Flight number A2654. Take note, if you probably want to catch the
you're
flight in
sounding
London,
like a prophet,
flight
but
number
hold your horses.
A2654. He's on Turkish Airlines right now to London to sign the deal. This is what you get when you tune into Sports 101.
Well, you sound like a prophet already, but I think that you need to hold your horses.
Oh, the deal will happen.
You need to hold your horses. I mean, let a guy hold the jersey. I'm not too convinced about this deal happening. I'm not going against your word, but I think that we need to be careful about some of these deals, and especially the complications. Has he already had his medical?
No, he's
Those
actually on his
complications.
way to have his medical.
No, because I mean, you have less than an hour to go through all of this and to do the paperwork and submit it to the EPL board for the player to be registered. So I still think that we need to hold our horses a bit. You could be on Turkish airline, whatever, A024, I 100, I. But please, let's be a bit measured. But I think that it's been a wonderful evening so far.
Yeah. So let me take some comments from our Facebook. Hey, I keep saying Facebook, YouTube page. So PK says, Enzo, here we go. Emmanuel Appiah says, Enzo, be scared next season. Charlie, Chelsea want to scare everybody next season. PK says
With
the
Enzo?
EPL is not ready for Chelsea next season. So it looks like the Chelsea fans have they have reconciled their position this season, and this season
I don't get it.
they are prophesying into next season.
No, I get a point. But are you saying you are going to destabilize the natural order because you had Enzo? I dare ask, who is Enzo?
Some may
He's
say
a kid.
He's a
No,
brilliant kid.
hold on.
You know, he was part
Hold
of
on.
that
Hold
fulcrum
on.
that together with McAllister,
Hold on.
they
Hold
made
on. Hold
that
on.
fulcrum in that
Listen,
Argentine
listen,
midfield.
listen,
They made
listen.
everything thick for Argentina.
Listen. We're talking about the World Cup. Argentina were not the best team in the World Cup.
No, they were not.
They were not the best team in the World Cup.
But they were the best organized team.
Who is Enzo Fernandez? You see, we are leaving the example of Darwin Nunes. Let's not kid ourselves. A kid has a good season, and all of a sudden, we all think he has arrived. Who is Enzo
Our viewers
Fernandez?
don't want us to close.
Well, I mean, I think that we need
They
to
don't
close.
want us
But
to close because the
for
numbers
me,
is going up.
if
They
you
don't
are
want us to
hinging
close.
all of your hopes on Enzo Fernandez,
Uh-huh.
I think you don't know football.
So let me take more comments here. Kofi said, educate small, please. Why are Chelsea buying players like a man on the on heat?
Well, I think that you spoke about the loophole in the FFP thing.
So
They've
you see, so
exploited
Chelsea
it.
is committing a crime.
They are committing a crime they can get away with. That's the point. But I blame UEFA. I mean, allowing this madness, this level of madness to linger on.
The comments still
Absolutely
keep coming.
crazy.
Says, they are worried. Hey, Todd Bowley, we are blue. MBK says this. So Emmanuel says that perfect replacements for Jorginho. Though I think it will take a while to materialize, but it's good. Most of the signings were done with the aim of the future. Good business for Chelsea. Chelsea are doing what Nottingham Forest did. It go shock them, Basa. This is from Kwegu Shei. MBK says it a plain coffee. But I assure you people, Chelsea will be great next season. Prophesy into next season. Buying Basa doesn't mean you have a good team. Sure. How are they even going to fuse all of them at a go? Well, when it comes to Potter, then you can't trust him. So there are people who are skeptical about this wholesale buying. There are people who are very optimistic. The optimistic ones are the Chelsea fans who have become prophets, speaking into their future next season. But which team has made the best deal this season?
Summer, January.
The season 2022-2023. Put the summer and January together. We are looking at Arsenal. Like I said, in Spain, you didn't really buy Germany and other. Let's look at England. So United, Chelsea, Arsenal, even Spurs, even Newcastle. And before we check out, you talk on the Sean Dyke deal to Everton.
Well, I think I'll give it to Newcastle.
Why? Why Newcastle?
Newcastle are building a proper team. They are not going about the madness Chelsea is
So they
doing.
have Anthony Gordon, who they recently recruited from
Yes.
Everton.
They've
Gotten some brilliant young players in
Shah
there.
in
They
there.
brought in Lucas Paqueta
Yes, I mean,
and all these players.
Paqueta, West Ham.
They have this Brazilian.
Yes.
Is it Lucas Paqueta?
Well,
Or there's this Brazilian
but
Newcastle.
Paqueta
What's
is
his
with
name?
West Ham.
Yes. What's producer? What's his name? Bruno. Yes, Guimaraes. Yeah.
Well, well. For me, I think that Newcastle have done some piece of excellent job in the transfer market. I cannot, leave without talking about my Manchester United. Manchester United have done beautiful business in the transfer.
That's why PK says you are biased, and
No.
Emmanuel says you are
Is
biased.
there a better midfielder in the league or in the world more than Casemiro is?
Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah.
Is there one who?
Yeah, Pate.
Come on. I mean, listen, this is a very serious show.
Pate.
This is a very serious
Everything
show.
proves.
No,
He's
there-
led Arsenal to
no,
the top
hold
of the
on,
league
hold
table.
on, hold on.
Everything shows.
Hold on. This is a very serious show. We
Yes.
attach a lot of seriousness to
To
this
the show.
We do not mention Partey and Casemiro in the same sentence.
Maybe you
Ever.
are looking at
It's a
Casemiro
taboo.
with his
It's a
achievements
taboo.
at Real Madrid, but
Even
Casemiro is not doing anything
no,
unique
no,
at Manchester United. That's the
Casemiro
truth.
at Manchester United in the league this season.
He's not doing anything
I don't
different.
think there's been any better midfielder in the league this season
Partey?
than Casemiro. Anyway, I mean, for me,
He's
if
very
you-
debatable, but
for me,
Partey-
even if you went to Arsenal,
Yeah.
Partey is not the best midfielder.
So who is Anthony, please? A point of correction. Enzo, a World Cup winner. You started with Sancho last season. Even so, they're saying
McAllister
that,
is a World
they're
Cup
saying
winner.
that you even had you have Anthony in your books. You even had Jadon Sancho that nobody even knows where he is, and yet you want to criticize the purchase of Enzo Fernandez.
McAllister is a World Cup winner.
Yes,
Yes, he's a World Cup winner.
but he's a top player for
For
Brighton.
who?
The fact that he plays for Brighton does not. Let's not get it. We
That's
are on the
another
point.
subject
So you
matter
believe
for
it's
another day.
Newcastle?
Well, I think Newcastle, Manchester United, Arsenal also did some decent business over there.
Rate them A, B, C, D. the
Newcastle
teams.
1,
Newcastle A.
Manchester United 2, Arsenal 3.
So, quick one. Do you think Brighton will regret not letting go of Caicedo?
No.
70 million.
No?
You think a team
No.
next season will be paying more?
If they don't even end up selling Caicedo, they have more than enough talent coming through the ranks to make up for any lost money
But
whatsoever.
guys, the model that Brighton run is that they go recruit players with the intention that is actually in your contract, ensuring your contract that when a better offer comes, we will not stop you from going. We'll give you the platform to grow, to succeed. When a better offer comes, we'll let you go and all of that. But do you think that this line they have told in terms of they playing hardball with the deal, with a deal in not letting Caicedo go because there are other players who are watching. You agree that you will let us go, but Arsenal, because he believes that this is a platform for me to play in the Champions League, make big money, and
You
he said it on his Instagram page.
you go at the right price. That's the point.
You think 70 million is not the right price?
He's worth more than that. If
Caicedo
Enzo
worth more than 70 million
if
price?
Enzo is 120
Oh,
million,
what are you talking
if
about?
Enzo is
He's a
120 million,
World Cup winner.
come on,
That alone
Come on.
increases your price.
come on,
The fact that
come on,
Ronaldo has never seen the
come
World Cup
on,
before.
come on. Come
Anyway,
on.
guys, in any way, Ziyech has also made a move to what is it called? PSG.
That's
Good
strange.
move.
That's strange.
Very, very strange.
Very strange. Money laundering.
Kofi. You see, Anthony moving to buy Manchester United is not money laundering. For 100 million, it's not money laundering. But Ziyech moving from Chelsea to what is it called? PSG is money laundering.
Honestly,
Money laundering on whose part?
honestly,
Chelsea, Todd Bowley's part or the handlers of PSG?
you cannot trust these Arabs. Like, you simply cannot trust them. But honestly, really, would they have a stay in that PSG team? No.
Let me take this comment. Pegu says you have started your thing. Oh. You have started again. So he brings in Rodri. City may not have the explosive season, but Rodri has been excellent for City.
Rodri has not been better than Casemiro.
Maybe because he's done it repetitively so much so that it becomes normal.
No, Rodri is not an exceptional player.
The thing
He's a
Rodri
player who
does-
is good enough for the system.
You see, the thing Rodri
Rodri is not an
does.
exceptional player.
The last time Chelsea spent like this, they won the UCL.
Oh, I wish them all the best. I wish them all the best.
Ziyech to PSG.
Strange. Money laundering.
I'm surprised because I feel that at
Because
Chelsea he was getting game time.
Why do you let this guy leave? There was this guy.
Gallagher.
No, PSG. They have this other player, winger. I think he's moved to one of those other teams, and maybe Percy can help us with the name. But why do you let him leave? And I think he's
Ziyech.
and bring his
Chelsea
Ziyech.
also want to balance their books by letting players go and try to make the wage bill and fall
well-
in line with the FFP rules as well.
Well, for me, it doesn't have to be PSG.
Yeah.
That's why I said I don't trust these people, because you have a crazy American running around with all of that money, doing outlandish things,
a show,
spending crazy money. UEFA standing aloof
You
like
spent,
a toothless
you spent
bulldog.
100 million on a player who
Our own money.
Who
Our own money.
That's Chelsea's own money.
No,
It's Todd Bowley's
no,
own money.
no.
As for Todd Bowley, it is not his
Our
money.
money.
You
Our
see
money.
the bias Kweku talks about. You see the bias Kweku talks about. When it comes to United, it's your own money.
Maybe
but
we need to sign off.
Okay,
we need to
you
sign
see, you probably have to sign up. But guys, this has been an excellent show, and I've had so much fun, and we've had a lot of fun. Very informative from start to finish. We concluded with the Enzo deal. The deal is done. Like I said, I gave you the flight
Wait
number.
till he wears the jersey.
I gave you the flight number. So guys, you can track the flight. Those of you in London, go to the airport, welcome Enzo. He will sign, he would have his medical, and you might see him probably next week when the league resumes. And Chelsea are rebuilding for the future. They are prophesying into their future, not this season, but the future. But guys, thank you so much. Thanks to Abel, thanks to PK, thanks to Kwekushe, all the guys, and even those who are watching us from Pando, those watching us from Accra. We love you so, so much. This is Sports 101. If you want this content, our content is spread across. Go back to our videos. You see lots of quality content, lot of quality analysis there. Like our videos, watch them, comment. Then we are doing this with you. This is Sports 101. It's been our transfer deadline show. I did this with Kofi Asiedu, Percy Bunny, producer Josh, on phone with agent and calling, clubs and all of that.
Actually had the chance to speak to Fabrizio
Romano.
Romano.
The Enzo deal, we had it first before even a lot of people had it.
Wait till he wears the jersey.
Guys, thank you so much. And we are signing out. Thanks to all those that have been a supportive part of Sports 101. We love you so much. We'll see you again next time. All right, bye.